All right.
All right. What's happening, everybody? Welcome. Friday evening. We out here. What's good? What's good, YouTube world?
Hey guys, hey YouTube.
Hey guy. Hi, YouTube. Hi. Another Friday. Another live podcast. We have a fantastic guest tonight. Legendary young gentleman. Legendary.
He is actually a legend. Like,
one of the best beards in the game. Best looking man you've ever seen.
best photography too.
Best photography in the
Best
game. I don't know.
video
I'm
on
just
so
saying.
many
It's
sides.
you need to be here for this one. So we're gonna give you guys a minute or two, and then we're gonna get her going. I hope everybody is well. No one's here yet, anyway. So I guess I'm just talking to myself. That's the funny thing about lives, right? Particularly YouTube, because there's not like an inherent inbuilt people like Instagram just waiting for people to go live from.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So it's like,
You just have to wait and then.
yeah, you just sort of wait for mans to come through. But I guess it's like whatever. They'll just join when they join and shit.
Let me
So
share
as soon
it
as
to the socials. Oh.
yes, no, I have muted you, but I don't know if people can hear that. I guess we'll find out.
I was like, is he actually muted in the end? So
I
don't
did
say
press
anything
mute,
just
but
in
maybe
case.
I can hear it, but it doesn't come through on the feed. So that's pretty funny. So it's almost like you could just whisper in my ear and I wouldn't even know.
But then we don't know if other
We
people
don't know
are
for
hearing
sure.
it, so then that's just gonna be.
Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. Don't be shit. It's so ridiculous. If anyone can't hear, then that's even funnier.
Yeah, 100%.
Noah is whispering sweet nothings in my ear. So, as soon as Tiff's ready, I guess we'll get her fucking going. Or should I just go anyway?
No. Oh, you mean turn the audio on?
No, it was in like start the podcast.
Yeah,
Side
you're
of
good
it.
though.
No? Alright. Let's do it. What's good, y'all? This is Cee, Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 6 of our Adjunct series, Quarantine Edition here on BAOS. This evening, I'm joined once again by my glorious partner in everything, Tiffany Alexis.
Hello, everybody.
You are just, you're the official co-host now. It's
Yeah,
just,
seriously, right?
it's just,
I'm just taking over everybody else.
right? You're just,
Yes.
coming through and...
It's my time.
Here's my time.
my
My
time,
my podcast. So tonight, guys, this is our third Skype podcast of this series. So 50% of our
Of the episodes
podcast
have been.
are Skype guests, and 3 of them have been my closest friends in the beer game, which is an intentional thing.
Yeah.
It's been very cool to be able to do this now, and now all of my kind of OCD and reasons for not doing this type of stuff in the past have passed. It doesn't matter anymore because it's a whole new world.
We wore him down, guys.
You wore me down, and now it's cool. Now I just have an excuse to just talk to my friends and other cool ass people in beer. So you guys might have heard. You knew that? Yeah, there you go. This young man on, I think, episode 95 for Lactocalypse, one of my favorite episodes.
And one of the top episodes, no?
Yes, this is the top 3 episode of all time.
There you go.
And episode 55. They can't hear you yet. I think. They are reading well, they can't see you yet because I don't have you on the screen. Noah is also talking to me, so people might think I'm crazy. I guess we'll find out in post
like you're talking to
if this
nobody.
works. I'm just going to bring him in. This is Noah Forrest from Beerism. Brother, welcome.
How's
Here
it
we go.
going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
What a pleasure. Look at you, mate. Look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just white blokes with beards and glasses. I love it.
Well, that's why I'm here to balance
That's
this
why
out a
Tiff's here,
little bit.
because otherwise it's like...
Well, there's just too much.
too much
too
craft
much
beer,
white
you
in
know?
here.
Thanks for hanging out, bro. You haven't done this for...
A little bit
Shit.
of time.
Yeah, it was last... the last one was July... Was it last year? Or was it the year before? I think it was the year before. Fucking hell. At your place in Il Perot by
Yeah,
the
those
pool.
all the
Right.
pool times and stuff like that. Yeah.
And that was a good time. So this is like any excuse to hang out. We're going to be talking all sorts of nonsense tonight. They are not ready for this.
No lactose tonight, or maybe who knows?
I don't have any. Do you?
Oh, there's always yeah.
I mean, do I have any? I guess so, but that's not the plan. What are you drinking right now? You can have the big one.
Thank you.
Well, I grabbed une bière de table from La Ferme.
Oh, I still have that one left. How's that looking?
Yep.
Good?
It's nice. It's a
Yeah.
4%. Easy drinking, Belgian yeast forward.
Is it like
Delicious beer.
do you remember when we hung out at it was vice versa before episode 55. This is going back. And we went to you said you have to have the Bière de Table from Dunham. Is it similar
Dunham, yeah.
Is it similar to that? Cuz that was one of my first ones of that style.
I think that one's a bit unique.
Okay.
they have such a particular yeast strain at Dunham, and they use a lot of like they use Brett, and
No,
it's
don't be
very
wrong.
wild.
It's not good. Okay.
And that particular one they kind of blended with like with a sour beer as well, I believe. So it had like a tartness. Whereas in this one here is not as much up your alley. It's more like
Belgian-y?
a Belgian pale ale or a kind of style, but much better. It's
Then-
like a 4% crusher kind of thing.
Okay, so like phenolic and such, or
Yes, very, very, very much.
okay, that's definitely not my steez. We are starting with this one here. This is Nick. Oh, it's gonna do it right. Oh, I have to block our faces.
It's because
Nickel
I do
Brook's
have
cause and effect. We had a. I was just telling Noah before we did a. It's called a night with Nickel Brook tonight. They had a beer event, like a online beer event. So people dialed in via Zoom, a couple hundred people, and they purchased a 6-pack of Nickel Brook, and they had the Head Brewer Ben and another bloke talk through all their beers. So we did that a little earlier. So they gave us little sampling cups. So if you saw that on our Instagram, we're not being weird and not wanting to wash our dishes. As Noah
Noah
thought.
thought we were just very lazy and didn't
Now, look,
want to use.
I respect that. That's what I would
Honestly,
think
I
too.
have seen some people, and I'm like, why are you using
Yeah, what are
plastic plates at your house on a regular Tuesday?
Yeah, or like
come on.
the what do you call
Or
it?
the red
paper
cups.
plates, the ones
Or the
like
paper
or red
plates and red
cups.
cups,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, Jesus
That's
Christ,
very
man.
bizarre.
We're too fancy for that. So.
Especially like, it's crazy to do it if it's just you, but even if you have like three friends over, is it really necessary? I
No,
don't
it
know.
definitely isn't.
When we did our tasting in January, how many glasses did we have? Real glasses. That was ridiculous.
Oh, the goose.
The goose tasting,
Yeah, probably about 50 or 60.
at
would
least,
say.
right? There was 4 of us,
Yeah.
and we did I'll just give you here because it'll buzz. We did a tasting at Noah's friend Derek. It was Noah, myself, and Matt from Vox and Hops. And God, it got dangerous. We did 13 different goose blind. So then there was 13 glasses times 4 just to begin with. And then we just did like essentially a bottle share or a can share after that.
He doesn't have a dishwasher.
So we had to do them all by hand, eh?
Ooh.
Would you put those cup of glasses in a dishwasher though? Wouldn't they like
On a night like that, yeah, I would.
Like, see what happens.
And I have. I've put my like
The
crystal
stemmed-
glasses in those nights.
and it's fine?
Yeah, honestly, the only issue I ever have in the dishwasher is putting it in or taking it out. Like if you angle it even a little bit and it's like up against something, it'll just like crack. Or if it has decals on it, over time it'll start chipping off. But otherwise,
It's
a
not so
big
bad.
deal.
Yeah, fuck it.
Interesting. We don't have a dishwasher, so I don't mind washing glasses, and I tend to do things as I go. So it's not like sometimes at the end of the night there's a bunch, but it's not like there's like 30 or anything. So it's just not that serious. Yeah, but that night was dangerous. Like I never vomited so hard. Like I don't think ever. And I got a cold from it after.
I woke up and like I just heard like
No, but
like,
it
what
was-
is going on? I've
was like
never
you thought-
actually heard someone like it sounded like the fucking zombie apocalypse was happening or something.
was bad.
It was terrifying.
I think I didn't eat.
I just because I woke up from it, I was just like, "What the fuck
And
is
you
going
usually sleep
on?"
quite deep.
And usually I deep
Yeah,
sleep, and
you're
like
good.
you were just like, I was like, "Oh, the goods fucked you up, eh?"
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I don't know if it was not eating enough or just mixing that.
Were
Literally,
you guys eating? Yeah, did you guys eat?
yeah.
well,
Derek
or?
made a nice
Yeah.
dinner.
Oh, okay.
It was like a rice and some shit in it. Like it was rice, and I had. I was,
with sausages,
Sausages.
and rice.
Oh, because it was like
and
carb heavy. Like you got some.
And I had
carbs.
two-
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
had like 6 baguettes and loads
Oh,
of
shit.
cheese and other things.
Chips
yeah,
and
I would
stuff.
make sure to stockpile on nights like
Yeah.
that.
I went pretty
Still
hard
got
with
fucked.
eating. I was the only one who had 2 servings of dinner, and I still was sick. And I think it was just I don't know. Maybe it was the yeast. I don't know, but if it was only me, maybe just because like there's so many different styles, age stuff, and like like whatever from the good stuff. We had Krispies and Haze and pastry stouts,
Yeah.
and like you name it, we had it. So I don't know what.
That's
we-
my
In my
theory.
experience, those nights can always get a little hard on the system because you're doing these like taste. You feel the need to kind of like finish everything when you have like 13 different glasses in front of you, and so you
Yeah.
tend to like drink them pretty quick too.
Mhm.
And then different beers in between, and then mixing all that like sour with 14% stouts and a bunch of IPAs, and
Yeah.
it messes you up the next day. I've
Pretty
done it a
much.
few times, and I've luckily never been the sick one, but there's always one person who gets sick. Almost
Really?
every
Eh?
time.
Damn it!
Yeah.
I wish I knew that beforehand.
Ridiculous. We're grown men, but
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what kind of pissed me off because I was like, man, I really should not be
Like, damn, I'm
doing this
38.
anymore.
Wait,
Like,
how old are you? 39.
hey, you don't have to talk about that, but like, we're both old bastards. We're old enough to know better. And I guess it just, you know what? That's the thing with beer. Sometimes you just, it kind of turned me off doing them because I liked them. Like I had a great night though. That was the problem. Like I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about different goods. You guys are really teaching us. Matt and I are coming in there, the kind of noobs to this type of evening. Like I'd only done one or two like this, and he hadn't done anything. Plus, I'd never tasted that many goods before, so it was like really, really enlightening to like, I don't know, just
see
be
the
a part of it.
differences and quality and doing it blind. I don't think I've ever really done a blind tasting of that magnitude, even close.
No.
So it was nice for me. It was like validating a bit because me and Derek were pretty much on the same page for almost everything. And you never know with that stuff because you're like, oh, is this the best because it's got the wrap and you're looking at the label while you're drinking it, or is it the best because you think it's the best, or that kind of thing. So I'd like to do that with more beers. It'd be fun to do that with IPAs, but that's really challenging because you have to get them all fresh and you can't collect them and then just do it. So
It'd have to be, totally stouts, I guess, because we talked about doing it with the haze only because that night we had a bunch of haze. We had some stuff. We had Bar Canada and Sir John, Missorum. I think we had some other stuff too. Like, fuck, man. We had some brewski, I think other bloke came through with. So we could have done it, but it was like, do we want to like do all these dishes and then like it's actually quite a task to make sure that 4 people don't know what they're drinking. Like the way
it's laborious, man, and even the tasting is, and that was, for me, that was the one that was on the lower alcohol scale. All the ones I've done previously were really high ABV beers.
You did the Péché, right?
So I did Péché. I've always done Jus de Ciel ones. So I've done Péché, I've done Solstice d'hiver, and Equinox de Printemps. So one's like a Scotch ale, one's a barley wine, and one's a Péché, the imperial stout.
Right.
And like, it's fun, but it's also kind of tiring. And like when you're halfway through it, you're just like, I don't even want to drink this. And there's always 1 or 2 people that like refuse to just dump it or just not finish their glasses, and those are the guys that usually end up getting sick.
Interesting.
The first few times I did it, like my friend TJ, because he's like a kid in a candy store, and I mean we all are, but him in particular, he was just so excited by it all. He's like, you can't not finish these glasses. So like him and another guy were finishing them all. And then I was scrubbing vomit the next morning in my basement.
So you want to be scrubbing other vomit.
Yeah.
And also, they have to have the wherewithal. Like, I went to the toilet. Like, you're like, uh-oh.
You're great with your throw-ups.
I'm really good. Like, I don't just, like, burst.
I feel like it doesn't happen often.
No.
But the 2 times it has been...
I've done it a few times at home.
Oh, really? Like more than
unintentionally,
twice?
Yeah. I had one time for my birthday, I think last year, the year before, when I had...
these drinks are always messing you up.
Yeah, I had it was an interesting one. I had a Jester King that I bought from Texas. This is 2018, so I was excited. I saved that for my birthday, but we also had a Pet Nat from Rosewood, the Petit Naturel wine, and we had those 2. That's all I had. I think I had any other beers. Fuck, man, I would puke my ass off, and I think it was just mixing yeasts. Yeah. That's what I'm starting to realize. I was the only dude at that tasting, though, who did not drink all of the goos. I just refused to. A lot of them I didn't like. Some of them were bad, I think. Some of the
some
cool
were
shit.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us finished every one of our glasses.
No.
But...
And it's just like a style. Like, I didn't realize how much I didn't really care for it. It's not like I don't like it. I'm just like, if it was like lambics where it was fruited or something, I certainly would have been more interested. But just that oud goose, like, there's just not a lot to them. Like, I understand. Well, that's not true. There's not a lot to them. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they're very straightforward beers, and to have like 13 different ones with very mild differences, like, I don't know, it's just not riveting. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. And I still was the one that was sick. So you know what? You never know. I'm about to bust out this next one because I already finished that. This is the Lost in Orbit. Is it going to work? I guess Tiff has to hit the screen because it doesn't work otherwise. Here we are. Lost in Orbit Session IPA from Nickel Brook. I had this a while. Have you had any of their stuff? Like their, like, oh, here you go.
I think back in the day, but not in years.
No?
The only stuff I buy off
brewery.
from them are usually the stouts and the big stuff.
The one we're going to be busting out soon. I'm excited you chose that one because it just happened to be that we did this today, and I was like, oh, fuck, we're drinking all 6 of these beers today. I'm like, no, do you have any Nickel Brook at all? and you happen to have some of their stouts, and I still had some stouts from a previous package, so this.
Yeah, I even have one of these guys from 2016. Which is
Oh,
the
you got
big
that?
one.
Do you know? Oh,
This
you
was
got
the year that I got
2016.
really, really good, and it was
Yeah.
also the year that they started getting crazy high ABV. Like it's 14.5.
Jeez.
I think it was right before they started cracking down on Ontario with the whole 11.9 thing, like they did in Quebec, because there was a good year there where people were just doing it anyway, even though I think technically they weren't allowed.
They didn't care. Interesting. Do you know what's good? If you got 2016, I have 2014 and 2017.
14.
Yeah, I kept it. I've actually drank it with my brother. I remember we were
So
home.
like 6 years old.
Yeah, we were homebrewing at Scott's house, and I bought it in that trip when in Toronto that time, and Brad had it, so we drank it there. That was the only time I think I've ever had it. But I was like, well, I guess I can age. This was when I had probably 10 beers in my cellar, and I just kept it. And then they sent a while ago. They sent the 2017 version, so I was just going to do those two. But if you got that, maybe that's something we can look at. I know we've got a few ideas whenever we're allowed
Could call
to.
out for the 2015 one, and then.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd be able to get
I'm sure
it.
you can get it.
Actually, yeah, it'd be 14, 15, 16, 17. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of beer to drink. And I reckon the 15, if they did it, would also be, you had the 750. The 2017 is a little guy. Is a 375.
Yeah, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, they went to 500 mils, which is good.
Yeah, it's a smart
But they
move.
still charge no price.
Did they? They charged the same price?
Almost.
Wow.
I think the 750s I think were $14.99, and now I think the 500s are like $12.99 or $13.99 or something like that.
I guess that's not so bad because it's sorry, I thought it was
it's not bad.
375. It's 500, so that's a bit. Is it like
Yeah.
2/3 of the way there? That's not bad. Okay. Yeah,
No,
that's
it's still
good.
a good price compared to other places and stuff.
Did you get your stuff in Quebec or did they send them to you?
I had bought one at the SAC, but they sent me a couple too.
That's what I thought because I remember you got some. I don't
Yeah.
know, a little before I did, and like you got, but you
It was
got,
through
I got them.
Evo.
Yes, you got them through different. Oh, it was like a gift or like a PR
Well, I
pack?
think he's repping for Quebec, so he asked them to send to me, kind of thing.
Oh, okay, and just get some love. Okay, that's good of him. I saw that he's opening like this weekend or something. Third Moon.
Oh,
is
really?
Opening. Yeah. I don't know how they're
Oh,
gonna
not
do it.
Evo, sorry, Pivo.
Oh, Importation Pivo. Yeah, my bad.
sorry.
That's what I thought. Sorry. I remember you were saying that, and you got the cuvee and that black, the gold, something in gold. It's called. I have that
Yeah.
over there. I forgot what it's called.
I have it too. I haven't tried it yet.
Neither have I. I'm curious. The cuvee, I remember having that years ago. It was really good. I can't remember what
I'm
style
not big
it was.
into like at one. I feel like when there was a time like 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when like sour and wild, really high ABV beers were super popular. Like Bellwoods was doing them, and then there were a lot of Quebec breweries doing them too. And at first I liked them, but now I've kind of lost a taste for them. So whenever I see something that's like 8-9% and it's supposed to be sour or like barrel aged in whiskey barrels and with bread, I'm just like, eh.
Over it. You want something
Sometimes
a
it
little
really
more-
works, but sometimes I'm just like sour and strong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Kind of done with it.
different vibe. Is that what the cuvee was? I've actually kind of
I
forgotten.
thought so. I
been
think
a
it's like a wild sour, like 10%
Damn.
bourbon barrel aged thing.
It's been a
I
while
heard
since
it's
I've had
actually not spectacular, to be
it. No,
honest.
the one that I first had was really good, but it was quite
Well, I
some
heard
time
this
ago.
year's wasn't great, but
Wasn't
that
great?
previously.
Okay, interesting. Shouts to Steve out there in Brizzy, killing the game. Oh, you gonna move it down there? Nice. Oh yeah, of course, because they're on your face. You can't see Noah, but we get the comments that are coming up, and you can pop them on the screen. I wish there was a way to share this with.
The Skype chat.
The only
person,
way
yeah.
would be. Are you filling her up? Yes, yes.
And even so, when you watch it, you're behind when you watch it on YouTube versus being.
Oh yeah, because it is. So it wouldn't even make a fucking difference.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a bunch of stuff to go on about today. So let's get right into it. So one thing that you said we have. Okay, so we've talked about this before, but basically, if people don't know, we Noah, myself, Chris, and Max from Hops and Bros, and Nathan from Nathan Does Beer have a group chat, and we talk shit all day about beer and stuff in there. One question, I don't remember how it came up, but I think it was you who said it, correct me if I'm wrong, was has Quebec finally eclipsed Ontario in, I guess, multiple tiers of their offerings of craft beer? Is that what is that an accurate description?
I
of
think
the-
I actually stole it from a friend of mine, but basically, I think I said that Quebec finally is above Ontario with regard to New England IPAs specifically, or
Okay.
maybe IPAs in general. I guess. Yeah.
A specific, and I think okay, so we're taking it further and just being like overall has Quebec, or do we want to stick to the IPA thing?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I live here, so I'm biased, but I guess I've always felt like we had a leg up in a lot of things, especially like anything wild, barrel aged stuff, and
That's true though.
we've always had amazing stouts, and we have Jude Ciel and Dunham and like just these really amazing breweries. So I've never thought of us less than anything, but I feel like there was a time when Ontario was like doing Vermont style IPAs and then going into the New England thing,
Okay.
and we weren't as much, or the ones we were doing were kind of meh. And now, in the last, I think you said it, last 18 months or so, it's been kind of, we're just bombarded by fantastic, or at least very adequate New England IPAs where we can go and get them pretty much anytime we want. It's not like an event so much, unless you want to go to like Missouri and stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas in Ontario, or even if you look at like Ottawa,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off.
No.
I feel like when what is it, aromatherapy came out?
Yeah,
Like that was kind of a
Beyond
big
the Pale.
deal. Like we didn't have anything quite as good as that here, or at least not like that.
That was Vermont
and-
style, I think. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
and they're doing a bunch of other New England styles that are quite good, but I feel like they haven't gone as gone quite as quickly as we have in the last year or so, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we I think we talk about
It was
a bunch.
actually in the last episode with Chris. What I was saying is that I actually feel like Quebec is a better beer destination.
Yes.
So if you think about travel, like in Quebec, you can get this full trajectory of like different style or like full just a different set of beers, where like you're not gonna get as many when you visit Ontario because Quebec has this like history behind them of perfecting so many traditional styles and then now attacking the new styles and killing the new styles now. So that just means you're not going to get a GDCL or a Dunham. There's no equivalent in Ontario at all. So if
Yeah.
you, sorry,
Not
forgive
really.
me if you want to say somebody is
No,
equivalent to
this is
that.
subjective conversation, of course, but
It's
like,
subjective, but it's like Dunham, these guys have been tackling this style of beer for so long. I feel like Quebec has a history in having done traditional styles so well, and then now it took them a while, but they got to the point where now they started creating this incredible hazy new beers and all this type of stuff. So I feel like in terms of a destination, if you were a beer drinker and wanted to come to Canada
yeah.
and you had one place to go, you'd be better served going to Quebec to get great styles in all categories. Because I don't know who you would really say makes beers like Dunham does in Ontario.
I think that's a really valid point, and this is why I enjoyed this conversation, Noel, because typically we have been, for those who've been watching or listening for a while, we were pretty much Ontario centric for the first couple of years. We barely touched on Quebec, and then we started getting more into Quebec stuff. And it was just
And
more
Ontario's
like,
great. I love Ontario.
No, this is not a shit
I'm
talk. This is
talking
just
about
like
the
a
wide range that you can get. Really.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess trying to position it that way, we used to almost exclusively drink Ontario beer because you were the one who actually, I think I've talked about this before, but you're the one who schooled me on New England IPAs and how you had to drink them fresh. And I was like, what do you mean it needs to be a week or two old? Like, that's ridiculous. I didn't understand that until you told me for the very first verses I did, which, funnily enough, was aromatherapy. You told me to get Le Trois Mousquetaires IPA, which I bought warm on a shelf from a shitty dep that I never go to anymore. And I did something else that also
That
wasn't
fucking
a
dep.
New England IPA. I forgot what it was. So, like, Ontario, yeah.
Oh, is
and-
that your verses?
yeah, whatever the
I
first one
remember
was.
because then Noah shat on you.
Yeah, no, well, like,
And that's when you learned. Oh no, you're just like
No, you told me
what?
to
You
do it
can't have
beforehand.
You learned about the
And then
IPAs
I
and all
told-
this stuff like that.
yeah. But I was like, dude, but I was giving you shit because I was like, this is not a New England IPA. This, it wasn't really hazy, it wasn't bright and tropical, but you're like, yeah, but look at the date. It was old, and I told you I bought it off a shelf. And you're like, yeah, see, so they just killed the beer.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know at the time. So I found that Quebec was always behind, and being that someone who drank mostly Ontario beer because they seemed to like tackle what my palate was more. Not that I didn't appreciate Quebec for those things, like farmhouse and like you said, wild ale sours, barrel aged anything. Here, Quebec just dominated, and I know Ontario people beer drinkers love coming to Quebec for that stuff. Because it was
Yeah.
those were the ones. If you got a special thing in the LCBO, it was a Dunham or a Judicial or something like that. And whenever people came here, they would come back when Quebec was only really doing bottles, because Quebec is behind in a lot of things. But they certainly were not behind in those styles. So
Was it this one where you did Juicin, Trois Musketeers, and
Juicin, that was the
Beyond
one.
the Pale?
Yeah, I didn't think I even had it for that. Yeah. And then when was that? 2017?
2017.
April 2017?
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, but we filmed it before.
And that's
I
when you
remember.
became obsessed with milk, IPAs being milk.
Milky, yeah.
Yes. No,
Which
but
I-
you said, like, oh, you need to have it from the thing to the fridge.
Oh,
Which-
milk in that way.
That's
Fresh.
what it, like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
became
yeah.
a thing where you need to have it fresh. Or
Yeah,
it's
someone
just-
said it like that.
Noah.
I didn't. Was it Noah? You said
Noah
milk?
told you that it had to be milk, and then all of a sudden you became obsessed, and anytime you walk somewhere, you're like, look at that on the shelf.
I become a
Warm-ass
judgmental
IPA,
piece of
you
shit.
became-
So that's all your fault, sir. Do you remember telling me that?
Yeah, I think it was something that Alex from Les Trois Mousquetaires had told me. He's like, or
Oh,
I
now from
heard him
Chambly.
say it once, where you have to treat it like it's milk. You know, you need to keep it in the fridge. It's
Right.
kind of the bottom line. I need to drink it fresh.
And
It's
drink it
got an
fresh.
expiry date.
Right. So basically, yes, Ontario nailed all the, like, Juicin from Sawdust City came out, I think, the end of 2016. That was the first New England I ever had. I didn't really understand it. We went to Vermont in February 2017, and I remember we did a podcast with Farmhouse Tap and Grill. Justin, shouts to Justin, he's the man. He gave us Hill Farmstead Double Galaxy. That was one of, like, probably the second New England IPA I ever had, which is pretty insane. I just didn't, like, it was a lot to take in after all these years of an IBU race to get to the most bitter beer possible. All of a sudden, he gave us this soft, creamy, delicate, well-made New England. I was like, what the fuck? Like, cause sort of, like, Juicin was great, but they didn't have the longevity, of course, that Hill does. So drinking all of that stuff, and I was always frustrated. I always sort of bitched about, and I was complaining on this podcast for years, like, fucking Montreal, someone open up and do something, because every time we want to go out
You're
here,
on record for sure.
yeah,
Several
many times. And no one was doing it. It was driving me crazy. People would come out of town and they wanted to go out for beer. Like, fuck, what am I going to take? And, like, I didn't even want to drink. Like, not that I don't want it, but if I'm going to go out, I've got all the fire at home. I don't really care to go out so much. And then now, like we were talking about, over the last 18 months with Missorum, with Brewski, with Bar Canada being available a lot down here, with Boreal regularly dropping Nord-Est, another haze.
Well, Le Castor has 4 regular New Englands now.
Right, and that was something they never did.
Yeah.
You've got,
But I mean, I don't think they were ever against it. I mean, they were the ones who basically put out Quebec's first and best West Coast IPA. That's, to this day, one of the better ones here.
yeah.
So I think for them it was they need to perfect it before they can release it, kind of thing. Like, they wanted to do it slow and proper equipment, I guess, and everything. So eventually they were able to. They can start canning, I guess, was probably a big factor for them too.
That's true, because everything was
That's
in
the other
bottles.
thing. Yeah, everything was involved.
No one was in
yeah.
New England IPA in
Yeah.
a bottle. It's just weird.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing too. I've just felt like, when you were in Ontario, everything we were getting were cans. Like, you were always like,
Yeah, here was very
getting
slow
stuff to
with
pick up in
cans.
cans and go to the park and do all this stuff. And like here, I was like, geez, like everything's in a bottle. It's so
Yeah.
like cumbersome, or like just.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's just fragile and stuff.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, it's just like a pleasure, because I feel like Quebec has finally caught up. But not only have they've not only caught up, but they've dominated. And being someone who is like, I'm big on that type of stuff. I was very vocal about my criticism of what's happening in Quebec, because the traditional stuff is cool and all, but, like, we have to move forward in the beer world to be able to keep up, whilst retaining the historical styles and the great shit we're doing here. We also have to, move forward. And then with these guys, and we're seeing the lines all the time. I know Wood Brothers are technically Ontario, but it's really Quebec. Like, Quebec.
Yeah, it's like.
No one's driving 5.5 hours from Toronto to go there. They're driving an hour from Montreal to go there.
No, exactly. I would imagine most of their business is coming out of.
Yeah, I asked them about it. It's
Montreal.
mostly, it's the vast majority is Quebec. So, like, they sell out in 20, 30 minutes. Missorum is selling out in 30 minutes with this online system. Bar Canada, I'm told, is an hour or two at most. Brewski, like, getting cleaned out of their stuff. I don't know, man. It's a special time. I think I would probably be bold enough to say that I think Quebec has eclipsed Ontario overall, because I feel like even people like Bellwoods, who are exceptional, they've always been my favorite out there, I feel like they're not quite the same level they've been at? We've talked about this. I know you've been
Yeah,
an
it's
old
hard to
school.
tell if others have just caught up or if they're slipping in some capacity. But I think BrewHeads is always going to have my respect simply for the fact that they do so many things quite well, right? Like you have these new guys who are popping up doing exclusively New England IPAs and then these smoothie beers or whatever that is, and like these ultra kind of modern things. Whereas in BrewHeads, like they've always had this amazing barrel program. They do the sour beers exceptionally well. They do wild beers well.
Yeah.
And big
Crispies.
barrel aged stouts like
Yeah.
Hellwoods is. I've been drinking this for like 6 years, and this beer has always been
Insane,
exceptional.
right?
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm going on a big Hellwoods kick.
No, I
but
fuck
it's
with it.
true.
But
No.
but I guess they've always been impressive with
Yeah.
that regard. But I think what we're seeing more now is places like Missouri and maybe to a lesser degree Buck Canada, who are really specializing in that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like brewing three things. It's either fruited, sour, smoothie, something, New England IPAs, or big giant dessert stouts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like that's it, you know.
They did
And there's
couple
nothing wrong with
saisons,
that,
but
but
that's it. Yeah.
it's interesting.
It's definitely like a niche. They've niched down on some stuff that they want to make. And
Yeah,
you're right.
things that
with-
make people really excited is
Yeah.
kind of what they're going
Yeah.
with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Bellwood's changed the game. You're right. They're still like I guess my favorite. I feel like they've definitely some of their IPAs, their one-offs haven't really hit the mark. They've been sort of off. Their classic stuff,
Yeah.
like their Bellweiser Pilsner, is one of my favorite Pilsners ever. I fucking love
I've
that.
never had it.
Oh, it's. I think you would love it, man. Like I did an order. I have to try and get their. I got their All Together IPA. It was supposed to arrive tonight, and it just didn't arrive. I'm pissed. So I had to order that. I have to send it to a friend in Toronto, who then ships it over to me because now nobody's doing that 401 drive anymore. I've been trying to keep on up on what they do, but all of their one-offs haven't really hit the mark for the most part. Jelly King is always fire. Every fruited variant is always fire.
Yeah, Jelly King is
It's just killer.
unbelievable.
Yeah. All their standard IPAs like Ghost Orchid they just released again. That's always great. Jutsu is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cat Lady. I think it could be hit or miss. Roman Candle, things like that.
But they keep
um,
changing the recipes so
that's the
much that
problem.
it's hard to tell what's what anymore. Anyway.
Yeah, and they all kind of blend in, but they were the OGs of all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So a couple comments. So Daniel, my friend in Vancouver, he has we talk all the time, and he has some great beers. What he does out there, he says word. He understands. Where I'm coming from. He used to live in
He
Montreal.
understands.
And Bassam, he said sorry guys. He's
Well,
my
it's not
friend
your
who-
fault. You paid for overnight
Yeah,
shipping.
you did
and
everything
they
you had to.
didn't overnight the beers.
Bassam's my Toronto connect who I bother
It's a
him to
Toronto
just be
plug.
like, hey man, can I send you stuff and you forward it on? He's a soldier and he helps me out and I appreciate
Top
it.
bloke. I think what Noah said too, in terms of the back to Bellwoods, it's not that they came down at all or anything. You know, I don't think they became less interesting at all. It's just that everyone caught up. They were just such leaders.
That's
Yeah.
probably,
Like
I think that's
they were
what
like
it is.
2 to 3 years ahead of everybody else in Ontario for
Easily.
a while, like just blowing past everyone. And then we started seeing real contenders come, and everybody just started catching up. And that's all it is. That's all it is. And you
Yeah.
think about like Blood Brothers, it's just incredible. Like they're
Blood
Yeah, I
Brothers
haven't
is,
had
um,
it.
Oh, dude,
Just,
you
like,
would love them.
phenomenal.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
would say
I
Blood
have
Brothers.
this, but I haven't tried it yet.
Which one is that? Oh, Werecat. I haven't had that.
Werecat,
What is that?
It's like a 8.7% bourbon barrel aged brown ale. So I'm guessing it's like an Oud Bruin kind of thing.
So the
Interesting.
brewer there
Okay.
actually is from Nickel Brook Evening all the way around.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's from Nickel Brook.
The brewer is actually from Nickel Brook, the head brewer there, and he's just like incredible.
really?
Patrick,
Yeah.
yeah.
Patrick is his name. I'll grab another.
Yeah,
too.
grab the next two. Thank you, babe.
You think?
Yes.
This is something I've been thinking about a little bit. Like
Talk to me.
breweries like Missouri. I guess what my only fear is that people are almost just too excited about this one thing now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love the ideas. I even dig the smoothie thing. I was more just kidding. Like, it was fun. I had one. I've had two now, and they were tasty or whatever. And yeah, they don't really taste like beer, but they're surprisingly good.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is if everyone solely gets excited about that, what happens to those who choose to take a different route? And you know what I mean? And like, is the New England thing going to shape what all brewers are doing now? Because like, if all Missouri has to do is brew beer and then post it online and they can sell it in a second, you have another brewery like, I don't know, for example, that shipment we both just got. I forget their names.
Livingston?
Yeah. So they're doing like a pilsner and like I don't know if it was a tailable beer and like some very basic clean styles. Like what happens to them? You know what I mean? Like, are people gonna only be choosing to do these trendy things to make more money? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's making sense or what your thoughts are on that.
No, it's absolutely a valid question. Sorry, next beer we're drinking is this one, the new one called Hang Tight. It's an oat pale ale. This was their fastest selling beer they'd ever had.
Daniel, what are you drinking? Bassam, what are you drinking? Guys, tell us.
Bassam would be coffee. Daniel is probably
Bassam,
drinking some
did you
fire.
like the structure of coffee?
Yeah, yes, tell us
He
about it.
said he was happy with it or no?
Yeah, he was. He was like, I'm going to send him some more because I'm
Okay.
going to keep bothering me with Bellwoods. So, as far as what you're saying, do you know what? No, I think in Quebec, though, I think there's room for everybody more so than anything. I think just with the introduction of breweries like Masorum and Brewski doing their new shit or whatever, I feel like it's not... I don't think the others are selling any less of the other stuff. Quebec is so... Like, I see the same Quebec people who are jacking off over the haze, like, you know, the people who go and buy way too much and buy a case of everything and fuck over everybody else. Those dudes are still buying, like, the other type of beers as well.
It's true. There's still
see...
excitement for wild stuff too,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Do you know
I find it also interesting sometimes. They're like, Masorum releases a fruited sour, a barrel-aged fruited sour, and people go nuts and line up. And it's like, they're not even really known for that yet. But yet, just because it's got that label on it, they're lining up for it. You know what I mean? Whereas in like Robin, who are new to the game and in Eastern Townships are doing like amazing stuff, and they're selling out, but you know, it's not quite the same hype.
No,
and it's interesting to measure that hype and examine it from the outside and from the inside sometimes.
Right. I mean, they're in the Eastern Townships, like you said, so like it's not like people are going there to line up for beer. But at the same token, if you look at Vermont, they'll go to Hill Farmstead, which is literally in the middle of nowhere, and people will line up there too. So I mean, like,
also Masorum has marketing and stuff on their side. Like,
oh yeah,
Masorum makes you excited to want to like go and get beers from Masorum.
They replicated what all
they
the
did
good
so well. Yeah, look, it's gorgeous.
Oh,
you know
I
what
love
mean?
that.
Like, it just
that's the stout. Oh man, I love that.
That was great.
Stout.
That's a nice, really nice label.
That's the one from Christmas time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we had that. No.
Yeah, you had that for Christmas Day.
Really
I love that beer.
It was good. It was good.
But like they make you, so they have that on their side too, right? They've become somebody. It's like Apple, right? Do you need the XS or whatever?
The other
you need
phone
or whatever the R, whatever like adds to it. Yeah, you do, but not really for anything in particular. It's just because you love the brand. So I think Masorum is a very cool representation of like marketing in craft beer.
Yeah,
because their beers are great. There's no question about it. But there's a lot of that marketing that's involved. People want their beer. It doesn't matter what they're really doing, you know.
Well, even their merch sells like crazy.
Yeah,
because it's fire.
Their merch looks great.
But do you know what? What I think the reason why the extra hype around Masorum, because I do not think Bellwoods was the only one in Ontario that had this level of hype.
Yeah.
Nobody since. The closest thing maybe would be Barncat because they're so small, or Badlands. I don't know if they're getting like mad crazy lines and shit every time they do stuff. The thing about Masorum, and this is kind of comes back to what we were saying earlier about me complaining about nothing like that in Quebec, was because there was nothing like this here.
Yeah.
People were for whatever reason, the brewers or the people who are wanting to start businesses, nobody here wanted to make beer to satisfy the people that go to Burlington every second weekend, or go to Ontario, or go to Toronto, go to Ottawa, to go and get the things that they actually want to drink. There was hardly anything here that satisfied that need, and I think that they were scratching such a deeply like an itch. They're scratching an itch of something that just wasn't catered to for so long that like people still lose their minds. They can't control themselves. Because now we're like, oh my God, I get this haze. And now a lot of these people who do it on, well, for better or worse, the trading type. So they go and hog all the fucking inventory. I want 4-pack. I know the guys too, and I'm never going to ask them for anything, but like, I can't get my hands on a 4-pack of this damn stuff. Because it's easier for me to go and order Bellwoods and get them sent to my friend Bassam in Ontario, and he sends it to me, and it costs me less to do that than it does to get an Uber each way from here to Point St. Charles to go and get their beer.
True.
And I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just keep doing that. And that sucks. If the breweries could deliver, it would be a different story. Yeah. But like, I think, people are just still too excited, and like, if everything's selling out in 30 minutes, it's quite annoying and for drinkers. I think they've reduced the limits a lot too.
Well, it also just snowballs, I think, hype in general, and like obviously like you said, the marketing's unbelievable, and that creates the hype, and then the quality creates the hype, and the fact that it's hazy stuff, which there was a lack of until recently, creates more hype,
Yeah.
and then that just like I feel like others start jumping onto that hype too. Like I have a friend who's only dabbles in craft beer, but he's driven out there and waited in lines to get them. It's almost as if the chase is
Oh yeah.
part of the attraction, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you've been in this so long that you're just thinking pragmatically, right? Whereas in like for them, that's part of the game, like that cold collector's mentality or whatever, where they want to go and get their hands on the thing that no one else can get their hands on, that kind of thing.
And I absolutely
Yeah.
understand that. That's never attracted me really. It was more just like, am I interested in that beer? I'm like, oh fuck, so are all these other people. Now it's going to be hard to get. Like I don't care that I have it that no one else has it. That's not...
Unless it's Milk Shark.
Well, Milk Shark's an interesting one. I don't want it because no one else has it though. I want it because it was the closest milkshake IPA to the OG. And that was the only one that gives me a heart attack. I can't help myself with that one. Like that one really stresses me out. Anything else, like I really wanted. I've had almost every single Jelly King variant they've had. I missed out on one of them. My brother actually got it for me. Then I was like, no, I'm going to do an order. Don't worry, you can just drink it. And then I did it, and I did it within an hour of it going live. And that specific Jelly King had already sold out, and I was pretty pissed. So I almost had it. So my friend Daniel says he's on a Valhalla Wild Pale Ale from House of Funk Brewing. I haven't heard of them. That sounds good.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
then the hype chase is real from Steve out in Brizzy. It is. And the hype chase, it does suck. So, yes, I think that's a big part of it, particularly with Masorum.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something else that I actually had on our list of things to talk
Rightfully
about.
so. They are like a quintessential hyper brewery or something, you know.
Yeah.
They make you excited, and they actually brought this like New York style element to Montreal. They legit just served a need that was so obviously there. Like it was just like
And it's
their
been
business
ignored
model
for
is so
years.
obvious. It's like
Yeah.
why didn't anyone
Right.
do that?
But you look
Yeah.
at all the Quebec, you go to any brewery anywhere, and I see a Quebec license plate every time. Go to Hill, anywhere in Vermont, you're going to see a Quebec
yeah.
license plate. At every single
Oh my
place
gosh,
we've ever
yeah.
been. Every time you go to Ferme, Fiddlehead, fucking Hill, whatever, there's always someone there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I bet I haven't been to Massachusetts yet. That's on our list whenever the world opens up, but I'm sure it's the same.
I'm sure if you
you
go
go
to
to New
Trinidad or
York,
something like that, yeah.
you know that people are out there doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a need for it that just wasn't served. So I think it was so underserved for so long because the hype has been. When was like Treehouse Trillion? Probably 2015, 2016, I would imagine.
Yeah, or at least when I started hearing about them. I don't know how long they were been around before that, but yeah, that sounds about right.
That's when I feel like 2016 was the year that New England's really started getting talked about. So whether that was when they started or not, different story. So say that's been like 4 years, and there was just nothing like that.
2013.
Yeah, and like Daniel's saying, we need a crispy boy hype train. We do, but I guess the thing is, and that's probably another question, like, why is it that hyped beers happen to only be essentially New England IPAs? It's a very, like, you're never going to see people lining up for an amber ale. Like, why is it, like, which is kind of funny in and of itself, because it's like, because you're laughing at the idea of it,
Yeah,
like, you're seeing all these guys in New
It's just sad. I
Balances.
shouldn't be laughing, but it's just like, yeah.
A bunch of like
what the
57-year-old dudes in New Balances and socks that are pulled up way too high. In their terry cloth sweaters lining up for a fucking amber. Like, you don't... I don't know why it just applies to haze or pastry stouts. Essentially those two. Anything put in a
But
barrel.
also because those are the new fun things, right? They're like the
In
new
comparison,
shiny
yeah.
objects. Like the amber ale is not a new thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like the whole point was that these things came where they were like, there's this IPA and it's cloudy and it tastes like juice. And everybody's like, what? I gotta have it. And then they're like, this one is a smoothie. And you're like, what? Like, how's it be a smoothie? I feel like that's the one, you know?
Yeah.
So whatever
Like,
the
interesting
new thing is.
new shit.
That's why pastry stouts are interesting as fuck. I love pastry stouts. They're so interesting
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, and I was almost worried I would, well, not worried, but I didn't think I would get on board, but I'm definitely on board with those. Like when they're done right, they're
Yeah.
spectacular.
I dig them.
Yeah, you have a more, and this is actually one of our other questions that we want to talk about tonight, because you have a more of a, what we would like call like a traditional palate. You are the dude who's well known in Quebec for, you know, really having a passion for all the barrel aged anything, whether it's sours or stouts or barley wines, all that type of stuff. Like that's why we always do the team lactose, team no lactose thing, because Nate and I are more in the newer cats.
Just say what you call Noah's palate.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to talk about. I don't know if I've really talked about this before. So I call Noah's palate a yawn palate. So you know how they have Haze boys? Noah is a yawn boy. Noah likes styles that put you to sleep.
I only drink amber ales.
And some Scotch ales on the weekend if you're wilding out.
Yes.
So, like, one thing you said to me when we were thinking about what do you want to talk about, you were like, we should talk about why I call you, like, define a yawn beer.
Well,
What do you
you're
think
gonna
it
have to
is?
define it from your perspective. But
What do you think?
what I'll say on that before we get into it is that you often say I have a traditional palate, but I think I have in my defense, I guess what I would say is I have a rounded palate. I can appreciate more or less everything.
Right.
And I think we do agree on certain things. Like if I get, if a new brewery's opening and they have a Belgian wit and a Russ, which isn't a thing, but apparently it's a thing, and a blonde ale, like I'm not gonna be excited to try them probably.
Probably or definitely.
But sorry, you're cutting out there.
So are you. Damn Skype. Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah, you said probably or definitely.
I said probably or definitely not excited.
But at the same time, if I tried, I guess where I get frustrated sometimes, and it's not with you, it's with a lot of my beer friends, is that people don't even want to give the beer a chance based on the style, whereas for me, it's more about the quality. Because I can still get wowed, or I don't know if wowed's the right word, but I can still really enjoy and get a little bit excited over styles that, generally speaking, kind of bore me. And like one good example I find is Four Origins, and that could just simply be because I've had the luxury of being able to try almost everything that the Mike's put out, and I like almost everything that they made. I really just enjoy. Like I'm sitting there like, this is great. It's clean. It's just tasty. It's rounded. It's even if it's malty and whatever and bitter. I don't care if it's not what is necessarily supposed to be important now. You know what I mean? I think that we get caught up in the moment, and if we just like follow that train and don't like keep enjoying the things we used to enjoy, then I feel like they're just gonna like kind of fall by the wayside. I don't know.
Do you know what? That's and I mean this in the most non-judgmental way. It feels like a Quebec attitude in the sense of that that's the same attitude that I think a lot of Quebecois have for their language and for a lot of things and culturally in Quebec. As a full-on fucking outsider, that's what I've seen moving here, that there's a very strong desire to keep the traditions alive by any means necessary type of thing, and I very much understand that because it's something that is very important to the culture. So what you're sort of saying, maybe this is something I'm probably drawing a comparison to seemingly unrelated shit, but I'm just pulling this out of my ass. That maybe because you're from here, you're an Anglophone from Quebec, you might be just like, and you've been in the more beer media stuff like longer than I think we started drinking craft beer at the same time, but you've been doing the media stuff and sort of taking it more serious longer than I have. So maybe you were looking at this from maybe more some memories and stuff that are associated. You're like, I don't want all these breweries to die off or all these styles to die off just because they're not hyped or popular or whatever. Is that accurate, or am I talking shit?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to have that kind of introspection. I mean, being an Anglophone in Quebec is also just a very unique thing, right? Because like growing up, there was always almost an unspoken animosity between Quebec culture and Anglo-Quebec culture and all that. So there's a lot of layers there. But I don't know. I mean, I try and make comparisons to food, right? Like if I only wanted to eat what was ever the most interesting and new thing, what would happen to all those other things that I used to like, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, and I guess legitimately, I guess my point is, it's not even that like I'm trying to keep liking them, like I legitimately still do.
Totally like
I think it changes. I think I get more excited by New England IPAs than I do about West Coast IPAs and stuff like that. But also, if I had like Pliny available all the time, I think I would be drinking it a lot.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is completely fair, and that probably does make your palate more varied, or you respect more things, because there is this thing where people just immediately write off Like people still write off pilsners and stuff or anything that's in the crispy category in general right now because it's
Yes.
not a hype beer, but they are actually fantastic. They can be
Yeah.
made as fantastic beers.
Well, and it's also like it just comes so full circle
Yeah.
with those
Yeah.
two, right? Those were the beers that everyone rebelled against, and now they're slowly becoming
Yeah.
the beers that everyone
So
wants
maybe
again.
Ambers will in
They
the
might
end
come
climb
back.
to the
They
top.
definitely will at
It's a
some point.
Yeah,
possibility.
Ambers were my first thing. I want to also make it like I feel like, and this is not just a thing when we talk about with you and I and the boys in the group, and just I feel like people have always sort of like, oh, you only like haze or you only like lactose. I'm like, I will go into a brewery, I will order the Pilsner over a haze any day of the week. I had that Livingston Pilsner, the summer pills they did the other night. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to a Pils. I was excited when I got that box and it had a Pilsner and a Vienna Lager in it. So, like, I'm not the haze sort of junkie that maybe I make myself out to be.
No, I know you're not.
I know, and I know you don't accuse me of that or any shit, right? But
Well, I do when you're not around.
yeah, that's true. Or we do when we give each other shit in in the group and stuff because we are getting a little harsh because you started that, you fuck. You just started being like harsh one day. I'm like, oh, it's like that. Okay, let's play this game. It's fun. Yeah, it's good. It's good times. But like, no, I appreciate everything, and I agree. I don't want to see anything disappear at all. And of late though, this is the interesting cycle, right? Because it started 2011, I'm drinking all the macro lagers and then moving into craft lagers. I'm like, oh, amber. Amber was my favorite shit for like a year. I loved amber ales because it was so much more interesting than these lagers I was drinking. And then you discover pales and IPAs, and then, oh, fuck, these Belgian stuff. Well, West Terran's the best beer in the world, and you blah, 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 right? And then now, since last year, we went to a brunch for Rodenbach, and Rodenbach Classic is one of my favorite beers ever. It is...
Yeah, I was
like,
kind of surprised that you went like full blown into that one.
Like fanboy level, dude. Like
Yeah.
on my birthday, the beer I actually chose. I didn't choose the classic because I only have one left, but I drank the vintage. The it's still a little. That's a little too vinegary, apple cider vinegar type of thing for me. But
It's funny because I find it the opposite. I find the
classic not.
the classic really sweet, whereas in
It
the
is, yeah.
vintage I find it a bit more refined. But it's interesting that you find it more vinegary. I haven't had them both like together.
So, do you know what? I haven't done it since then, but I definitely remembered liking that more. And I had 2 bottles of the classic, and I busted went out on Christmas Day with my brother alongside that Masorum.
You love that one too, no?
Stout, yeah, bro. The Rodenbach just changed my world. I love it so much, and it's given me a
glad to
whole
hear
new,
that.
yeah. Like, so it's an interesting thing. So it's not just about haze, and like I liked if I'm drinking on any given night, I will always have a crispy boy, some sort of haze, a sour, and a stout. Like that's what I would always do. I can't just have 4 cans of haze in a night. Like I'm bored shitless by the second or third ones. Like
You know what I'm
need to
starting
change it
to, you know what's starting to yawn me a little bit
talk to me.
is Berliner Weisses. Kind of.
Interesting. Over 'em, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't. It's like one of those things where I didn't realize it until I looked in my fridge, and there's like 30 of them there that I haven't touched. I don't know why.
Are they fruited
And
ones?
it's funny
or-
because lambics are by far probably the thing I respect most in beer and would drink every day if I could, which are obviously sour. But there's just something about the kettle sours thing that, like, when they first started coming out, you had Solstice d'été, which is the raspberry Berliner from ZCL, and it was literally the only one in Quebec. And then, like, within a couple of years, you started seeing, like, speckles of other ones come out, other fruited sours. And so it was, like, excited. When it came out, we hoarded them. People used to go and buy cases and cases of Solstice d'été and, like, hoard it.
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
And now, I mean, you can get it practically all year round.
Yeah.
But nowadays, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just, like, too acidic, or they kind of bore me now. So maybe that's my yawn beer of the
Young beer of the times.
year.
No, I respect that. My friend Daniel here is saying I think all German beer styles are all awesome. I think that's a good
Yeah.
point. The German, Helles lagers and stuff. I love them. Any sort of like, whatever the actual Czech Pilsner or the German Hell, any of the German sort of stuff I'm enjoying that too. I think it's all coming back around. As far as like, that's a good point. Do you know what? I've been sent a couple Scotch ales recently. I haven't had one in a while, but in my mind they're just hot garbage. So I'm curious to try them. But do you know what the other problem is for people like you and I who are beer media, and you and I were talking the other day, which is another topic I want to talk about PR packages during this time during COVID. I have so many other beers that I need to get to that are a little more pressing in the sense of if I don't drink the haze or whatever before it dies, like all the trailways and other stuff, I'm like, they're gonna die, but then so the Scotch ale is not gonna get touched
Right.
first.
Exactly.
And
So it sits there forever.
And that's the problem with that's the main. I think another thing that has prioritized haze over other beer styles is that it does have such a short shelf life. I don't know if any other beer style has such a short shelf life as, I guess, New England IPAs. It's arguably the shortest. So
Yeah.
that in and of itself forces people to kind of like drink those before anything else, and then it's gonna, you look in the fridge, you're like, well, fuck, man, this has been here for 3.5 weeks, but that Scotch Ale that can sit there another month and there's no problem. And I find that that keeps happening over and over, and you've got to like eventually just like, you know, kind of make the decision, like, all right, fuck, I'm drinking this tonight, type of thing. So it's always harder to get to some of these other styles for people like us who maybe have to document things and stuff like that.
Did you try the mushroom infused
That's
Scotch
the one.
Ale?
No, that's the exact beer I'm thinking of.
Surprisingly good.
Because the mushrooms. So we're talking about a beer from Riverbend. It was a mushroom infused Scotch Ale, and the mushrooms taste like maple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it has a little bit of that synthetic maple taste, which
but it's
is
not at all.
Yeah, but it's not too much of that gross synthetic maple taste because it's coming from a natural source, just happens to be a mushroom, but it definitely tastes like maple. Yeah, Scotch ales are have always been on the lower end of things that I like. Like I've never really loved them.
Yeah, same.
But when done right, they can be really nice. Like Dear Ciels, they're
what's that Scotch Ale called again?
Anyway, it's Equinox de Printemps. That was the biggest. That was the biggest vertical I ever did.
Okay.
I think we had versions of it. Was it this one or was it the barley wine? No, I'm losing track of my brain. I think it was Equinox de Printemps.
What's the ABV on the Equinox?
9.5.
Oh wow, it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a strong one. But yeah, anyway, we did like I think over 10 different years of vintages, and that was a lot of fun to see how that evolved and changed over the decade or so.
Interesting.
But yeah, back to the Yawn thing.
Yeah.
I think also, we probably share similar tastes in a lot of ways.
More than we acknowledge.
Probably differ the most with more Belgian-centric stuff.
Yeah, otherwise, like, all the shit that you really like, I appreciate all those, the barrel age. I love a barrel aged stout and, like, all the wild ales and all that funky shit and all the puckering sour that rips your tongue off. I love that shit. It's just some of the, I think it's more when it comes to the serious Belgian, like we had last episode with Chris, we had some Belgian quads that was sent over from Atlanta. And they had one aged in Barbados rum barrels and the other in bourbon barrels, and I just couldn't do it, man. I could tell they were good, but it was just that sticky raisin, and they were like 12.5%. It was just like, nah, like why? Like what are you doing? I couldn't.
Yeah, well, I think
into it.
barley wines and quads have a pretty similar profile. The only difference really being the yeast component.
Right.
So the fact that you're not huge on barley wines makes sense that you would also not be huge on quads. And I think you just don't dig that phenolic thing that much, which is why you don't dig triples much, or even Belgian pale ales and doubles and that.
Yeah, or just like whatever the typical run of the mill saison. I can't stand.
Yeah.
But
saison's just a catch-all term that it's
hard to. It's a terrible one.
Yeah.
So if you have a brewery that just says it's a saison, that's almost always I can't stand. But some of my favorite beers ever were Arthur from Hill is insane. I could drink that all day long, and that is a farmhouse ale. And they're exceptional. And even for my birthday, we had the Brother Soigné from Grassroots, which is the collab with Luke.
Soigné's
it's lime and blood orange or whatever, and it was exceptional. That's still a farmhouse.
Best beer in the world.
Yeah, and like we never had it before, so we bought it from Hill. We bought the glasses, the etched glasses that look like wine glasses to go with it and stuff. It was super. It was a beautiful experience, and I love those beers. I really do, and they're the ones I probably make fun of the most. Specifically back to back, because everything's a farmhouse ale here, and it's too much for me.
That's just because you kept saying like if we go to a place like vice versa, and it's just like
they have like 17 saisons on and like maybe a pilsner and a stout or something. Yeah. That's what they used to. Now it's a different game, but like I still find that they don't have because Masorum don't really distro like that. I don't think Brewski does because they're not keeping up. Even back when everything was open. So like there's no real beer bar that's going to be able to still give you the overall picture. If people come to Montreal and they want me to take them out, I'd be like, all right, well, we're going to go to 4 places.
Yeah, that's true. Where in the end, you can take someone to like 2 beer bars in Ontario. And you
Yeah,
basically
and, like,
covered all of Ontario. You
Yeah.
can go to the east side, take them on the east end, and get a bunch of beers from everywhere.
Or you can just go to Bar
you
Hop.
get or just Bar Hop. That's what I was thinking. Bar Hop
Just
for
Bar
one
Hop.
of them.
Yeah.
Actually, Bar Hop is pretty good in
And
covering
that kind of covers everything.
Yeah.
Like, you're good to go. But I feel like here it's still... That's still one thing that is lacking a bit, because even though we're praising all those breweries, Bar Canada doesn't do kegs. I don't think Sir John does. I don't think L'Abordage doesn't sell kegs out. All the Hayes breweries I can think of, none of them sell them. So that means maybe... Actually, I did have Le Castor's, like one of their early test batches of their New England. I had that at vice versa. But so they might, because they get a lot of Le Castor stuff anyway. So I mean, I know that Max from Wild Jack is their beer menu dude. Well, he was before all this. So I hope he's able. I'm not sure.
He was probably making some changes to it a bit. I'm guessing.
Making it more
But it
interesting.
has been.
Yeah,
That would be where Ontario trumps
that would be where I think
Quebec for sure.
Quebec still has some
Because
work to
you do
do.
have to take people to 4 to 5 places.
Yeah.
To like get them around and show them.
And then, yeah, exactly right. But even if, say, you went to Quebec City, I know they've got Knockdown. I know there's another one called, is it called Equilibrium or Equinox or something there? It's supposed to be really good. That has some good, like, haze type shit.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, I saw, someone told me about it the other day, and I saw Emily Petit Pierre with some stuff. But she goes up that way a lot.
You want to hit the stout?
Yeah, I was actually, we're almost time. Yeah, want to bust it out?
Yeah. I'm out of beer.
You want to tell them about it?
So this is Cafe del Bastardo from Nickel Brook, and it's a bourbon barrel-aged, coffee-infused stout.
Nice.
Imperial stout, of course. I remember this was... It's now 11%, but back in 2016, when that bottle I was showing you earlier,
Yes.
I think this one is also almost 15% or 14%.
So they had to cull them down a little bit. They got excited.
Yeah. I didn't love this year's regular Kentucky Bastard, but this one was still really good.
Okay. Oh, it's a fucking wax top, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I cut into it before because
Oh,
I knew
didn't
it
do
would
that.
take 10 minutes to deal with.
I can't do it. Oh, I got some nice. Check my glassware. It's beautiful.
Yeah, if you put it in front of your face, I should.
The what?
You put
Oh, you're probably not about to see. This is the
I
collect.
got the branded. I got the branded.
Oh, you got the.
Oh, you
okay,
do
you.
too.
No, this is Collective Arts, but it's the closest thing.
Come
It's
on.
around the corner. Hey, you know what? Nickel Brook. I have branded Nickel Brook glasses, but they're this.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
for
no.
this, right?
Not happening, right?
No, they sent me this with that package this year, which was nice.
If Nickel Brook is watching, guys, link me that glassware, fam. So I've had this before. I was actually really pissed because one of our maybe a year, probably 2 years ago, we kept all of our videos on an external hard drive, but one of the portable ones that doesn't plug into the wall, and they're notoriously unreliable. And I had a full beer mail video of doing this beer that they sent, and I lost it, and I was pretty vexed because I feel like these beers, they're not exactly cheap for them, right? I wouldn't want
No,
them
they're all
to
$15 at the sack. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive, right? Because it's an import and shit. So I was just mad because I don't want them to be wasting because I lost everything, all the photos and everything. Now I back everything up like 3 times. So
I will say though that it used to be that the barrel aged stuff was the most expensive, and by far, like Dunham beers. I remember when the barrel aged thing was starting to hit, Dunham beers were like $15 for a 750 barrel aged kind of thing. Now they're up to 20, but even just we were talking about it today. Wood Brothers, a 750 Wood Brothers hazy IPA is $15.
Which is something that you and I didn't know about, and they were making fun of us.
We're such beer yuppies or something.
Right? Like, fuck, I don't know. I didn't know it was that much. I guess, because that was something else that I have on the list to talk about, actually.
Okay.
As far as PR packs and stuff. So this is the 2019. You have the 2019?
Yes.
Let me make sure I haven't, because I have done the... Okay, I have not... This is 11... Is it 11.9?
No, this one's only 11.
Interesting. Untapped is wrong. Who would have thunk it?
It was, I think previous years it was 11.9, and before that was even higher.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't had this for probably a couple years. Okay.
It's really quite exceptional, I will say. Like
So, yes,
it
put that on.
stands its ground.
Yes, I was very glad that you mentioned this one because we did have a bunch of the same big stouts. Because, like I said, I'm on a Nickel Brook kick today, and I was like, well, you know what? I might as well like keep it all Nickel Brook everything.
Yeah, it's
and I was like,
perfect.
which one do you want to do? And you're like, this one. I'm like, boom, great choice. I'm very happy because I haven't had it for so long. We had the Whiny Bastard on our anniversary a couple weeks ago because it was a nice wine beer for we broke out the White Lies from Blood Brothers, which is a wine
another fave.
infused sour, and then the Whiny Bastard, but.
Nice.
Ooh, smells intense.
Oh, it smells great. Yeah, I can smell it.
Mate, get in ya. Cheers.
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 Oh, this is like, oof, money. Fuck.
Oh, that's great.
Tiff, when you're into wine, obviously. Most sours are aged in old wine barrels. Do you pick up
Hold
notes? A
Thanks.
lot. Like, can you? I guess my question is, do you notice at all like quality of barrels with the wine barrel aged beer, or like even just pick up any form of notes from the wine that might have been aged in at all?
I would say
Or
like
it's
I wouldn't
pretty
be able
hard,
to say it's pretty. There is actually like say for White Lies, I tried the Sauvignon Blanc versus the Riesling. Rieslings tend to be sweeter, and I did
Yeah.
not enjoy that
Version.
that version
Which
as
one was your
much
favorite,
because of it.
Sauv Blanc or?
Sauv Blanc is my favorite.
And we had the
They did
Muscat
another
the
one
other
with the
night.
Muscat,
What was the other one we had?
and I didn't love
Muscat
it
was
again for
okay,
that
though. You
reason.
didn't love
So
that
it does make a difference, and not so much that I'm like, oh, I can tell that this is with this and this, and that's why I'm not enjoying it. But I do know that some varietals are sweeter, and for some reason I don't enjoy that as much when they're used. So
Yeah.
What's interesting too sometimes is that like if it's a wild beer of some sort or a sour, because it's going through like that wild yeast is going to ferment a lot of that sugar away. So in some cases, like there was a version of Excelsis here from Zurciel, which is basically like a Quebec version of a lambic kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like barrel aged wheat beer, sour, tart, wild, and they did 1 year. Aged in Sauternes barrels, and Sauternes is historically like it's basically a dessert wine, but because that wild yeast is so aggressive, like it's not any sweeter than any other iterations of that beer, but you really get that it really pulls in like the rich stone fruits from the Sauternes. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds in the sense that you get that rich profile without the residual sugar,
without
so
the
it's
sweetness.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is like exceptional. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
this is
creaming
delicious.
over this.
Yeah, good.
That was really, really good. Oh no, you're having the same beer?
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
we did
Nice,
this, yeah.
great. Okay, I didn't know it was
The 2019.
exactly the same.
I feel like I don't recall the other one that I had, whatever it was, a year or two ago. Remember, because we lost it? Oh, no, tell me about the hard drive.
Is that one of the
fucked
videos we
up?
lost?
Yeah, I was so vexed.
Was that part
Just
of
because
the
we took
drunk
like a
series?
nice... Pardon?
Was that part of the drunk series?
No, it
Rich
wasn't.
had some drunk videos, and I was like, oh, it's not that much.
Oh,
of
no,
a
no.
loss.
Oh, yeah, it was some other drunk ones we did.
Okay,
recently,
yeah.
It wasn't that, no, I did it myself, but we did nice photos with like coffee bean. This has Detour coffee from Toronto as well. Detour is dope.
Right.
Yes.
I love Detour. We used to order from them.
Yeah, I just ordered some the other day. Gamba here. Have you been, you order, are you a coffee guy?
Yeah.
What have you been doing for beans during the, or what do you normally do?
We've been splurging. Usually we do Costco. And once in a while we'll buy like a nice bag from somewhere.
Okay.
But since we've been home, Jenny's is a bit more into it than me.
Okay.
And she's been ordering from various places. I think we just got a package from Halifax actually. I forget what the
Nice.
roastery was, but it was like five. It was a pretty good deal. It was like five or six bags for like 80, like $70 or something. Like so, it was if we ordered that much, it was still pretty reasonable. Because if not, you're going to be spending like $17 for a bag. And
Yeah,
Do you
we
remember
paid
the-
like 17 to 21, 22.
I'll let you know later. I forget.
Yeah, please,
Sorry?
man. Yeah. I would say, yeah.
No,
Can
it was
you
like we
please tell me?
generally spend like 17 to 22 per bag, something
Yeah.
around
Some
that
up to
mark,
25. We've been, my favorite right
Right?
now
It's like
is,
Intelligentsia. I feel like you pay 25.
they're like
dollars
even
for
more.
that.
They're probably like pushing 30.
Shit. Yeah.
So we've
Wow.
been ordering primarily from Structure Coffee Roasters in they're in Montreal. They're in McGill near Old Port.
Structure?
Structure, yeah. You know how we did the Helm collab? for the second time. That was with Structure Coffee, so I actually hit them up. So now I know the dude. But he doesn't send me beans or anything. This is I pay for them. I want to support. They do free shipping to Ontario and Quebec. So I've just been, every time they'd send an email, I go, hey, new beer, new beans are out. I'm like, boom, order, boom, just doing it.
Nice.
And I sent it to my brother just for the fuck of it, as you know, he helps me out a lot. And my friend who's watching, he does me the Bellwood, so he won't take my money to pay for the shipping here. So I just sent him a couple bags of coffee and stuff. Hook him up. I really love their stuff. And then there's a cafe here called Cafe in Gamba on Park and Fairmount. So we know the owners just from going there and stuff like that. Super cool. And they do delivery, and they have a whole bunch of different ones. So they don't roast, but they have like Detour, Structure, Saint Henri, Intelligentsia, Counterculture, all sorts of different stuff. So I got some Detour and some Zab. Zab is the other one. Zab do some good shit.
Yeah, Zab we just got too.
But I want to, after these two, because we just got those 2 bags, because I needed those. We do V60, the pour over. Do you guys do that? So I need.
No, I use a Bodum. I've been wanting to do the pour over thing, but I haven't done it yet.
It's a bit of a whole thing because you need the V60 thing, which my cousin in Australia gave me, and then I just buy the filters, like the recycled filters for them, and then I put that just over a French press, funnily enough, which is kind of redundant, but just because it's some way to put it, and you need the gooseneck kettle to do it properly, and the gooseneck kettle.
Oh right, like the.
And that shit was like $200. I mean, I got it on a very good price, but they're very expensive because you can customize the exact temperature, and they've got a timer on it as well. So like you can customize the temperature. So we do like 94 degrees. I got a scale, so I weigh out 20 grams of beans, put them in.
You grind it yourself?
Yeah, we got a grinder. It's not like a super high end grinder. It's kind of $60, nothing crazy.
Keep them fresh, so you can
keep them fresh. And we put them in. Once I open the bag, I put them into a airtight container, to make sure that they're all like kept nice and stuff, and keep them in a dark closet and shit. So there's no oxygen coming in, and I feel like it's pretty fresh. And now I used to like alternate if I couldn't be bothered doing the V60.
Yeah, pour over, sometimes you did the French press.
I never do the French press anymore.
Yeah,
I completely stopped it.
And we were doing the espressos before.
Yeah, no, we have a little shitty espresso machine, and it's.
And then I think Craig went to Australia and saw his cousin's espresso machine, which was like some high grade, like $2,000 espresso machine. He was like, "Fuck it." Yeah, there's just no point. He came back and just never uses it again.
It's whack. I can't do it. So now the pour overs, I'm quite enjoying it. Like it's a really nice way to do it.
I love them.
I didn't know you were a full coffee nerd like that. I think we might have talked about it in the past, but
a little bit, but I'm not as much as you guys at all.
Right. I cannot live without that shit.
I'm picky in the sense that Tim Hortons is to me just I can't drink it, but I'm not so picky that like I couldn't have a Starbucks, or you know what I mean. Although I'm not a big fan of Starbucks.
Yeah, we don't like Starbucks, but on a road trip to Toronto, when you can't we'll get something from here, but then like 3 hours in, you're gonna stop in Kingston or something and pick up a Starbucks, but they're not great.
What if Kingston has third wave? And we don't know.
We should find out. Fuck. It could be like Princess Street or something.
Yeah, it's not that far. It'd be worth it.
Now you've sent us.
Yeah,
that's think about that.
Because we have like a routine when we went to Toronto. We'd always go and we stop and we drop our empties off at the beer store. Go to the LCBO, so we didn't have to do it when we get there. If Tiff wanted to get some wine, and they have the big walk-in fridge, so sometimes they have some interesting stuff from the area. And then back in the day, we used to go up to the A&W, but we used to go up to Stone City. Mm-hmm. But that's when Justin was working there. Now Justin has Matron, and I haven't heard anything good or bad about Stone City in quite some time. So I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of fell off the map.
Man.
That's so true.
Like nothing. So I can't be sure that...
That sucks for them if that's the case. Like Justin was the key.
I think Justin was the key. That's why Matron shit. I don't know if you've had any Matron, bro. I've had one or two of their beers, and
I know the name, but no, I haven't had anything.
I had actually on New Year's Eve. They had this one called the Janky IPA as their main. It was just they called.
Oh wait, Matron are those ones doing like more like traditional stuff?
It's mostly traditional, yeah, but it's like
really good, and they have nice like kind of simple, fun branding.
Yeah, that's them. So
I really want to try them.
Yeah, man. I've only had 2 different ones. One was that one on New Year's, and they're called Matron Fine Beer. Mm-hmm. And you know how the only way I can describe is when you have Hill Farmstead or something like that, and you're like, oh my god, this is like a fucking well-made beer. I was like, I didn't realize it was that good. So they had their
I feel
IPA
like
at
this
Bar
is
Hop.
what Livingston's kind of trying to do. Whether like I'll try all these to see if they pull it off, but I feel like that's kind of what they're going for. A similar kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, with the branding, not so much, but with the styles, maybe. Because
Yeah,
Livingston,
like
the barrel aged stuff that they sent, like you said, there was
yeah,
a sweet potato, a barley wine made with sweet potato. Like, whilst that, to me, that's not very intriguing, it is interesting. A sweet potato barley wine, I mean, that could be some...
innovative.
It's in hashtag innovation. I gotta respect it, bro. I can't turn around and say I don't
Yeah, you can't
respect
get
that
mad
shit.
at that.
You know, I have to.
It will.
But
It
they-
won't be my first sweet potato beer.
No, I've had one
Surprising.
before. Have you had the Koito one from Japan? They did
No.
one. That's the only one I've ever had. We had it in Australia.
The only other one I had was Jester King Dunham collab,
Nice.
a wild beer with.
Sweet potatoes
sweet
and that
potato.
shit. Interesting.
It was good.
But like, no, look, I'm actually quite intrigued. Their cans at Livingston, they all sound good. I mean, the Saison doesn't rivet me, but the Goza sounds fucking fire. The Vienna Lager, and I really enjoyed. Like, I know you were saying about the head retention of that Pilsner, but they sent a glass, and I put it in their branded glass for the video. But I have a
Yeah, I
nice
got-
tall thin Pilsner glass, and in hindsight, I would have preferred to put it in that because that brings out the head retention crazy. So I'd be curious to see what you think. But I really enjoyed the
Yeah.
flavor because it's only 4%. The flavors were fire. I was very, very impressed, to be honest. Our friend Stefan.
Sorry, if you see us Noah like smile or react to something, it's because we see the live chat and it's just like
Our friend
hilarious
Stefan.
sometimes.
He goes, I'm here. The party can
He's
finally
like, the party
start.
can start.
I hope you're drinking, Steph.
I hope
So-
you're drinking something, Steph.
Cheers, Stefan.
Cheers, Steph. Steph was supposed to be my Masorum mule, but I can never order them early enough unless he
Fast
wants to
enough,
get up
yeah.
at 10 a.m. and order that shit. And...
Well, he's already up. It just means if he wants to order that shit.
Yeah, true. Oh, this is so fucking
Steph
good.
is the king of lies.
Steph, I hope you're drinking beer, bro. This is like out of control, man. Like I am so impressed with this. Not that I thought it was going to be anything but fire, but I haven't had it for so long.
And for a beer with coffee, it ages pretty good.
Mm.
A couple of years and it still does fine. Because a lot of time coffee can get sometimes like a little bit vegetal. Like over time, it with like the oxidation makes it weird.
A bit strange.
It gets earthy and like starts tasting like kind of like not old broccoli, but like it has like a there's something that just doesn't work. Except for Pechet. Pechet is magic.
Pechet is just
works.
perfect.
It is
is.
definitely.
That's
That
what I
beer
was
ages
saying to
so well.
I can
someone
put a
today.
beer in the hallway, Steph, if you like. Steph actually lives in
Yeah,
the building.
Steph, do you want us to drop a beer in the
You
hallway
live in
for
the
you?
building?
Yeah.
My neighbors are not
I'm
putting
not
out.
putting.
He said
not drinking,
my
his neighbors
neighbors
aren't
aren't
putting
putting
out.
out. Steph, do you want? I'll drop you a beer in front of your door.
I can pick something from the fridge and chuck it out if you want
Yeah.
to.
Social distancing practices, you know,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
leave them at your friend's
Put it
door
in his
and then
thing,
you
knock
run
on his
away.
door. Just make sure you have to wash it because you never know
Yeah,
if I
just
don't
wash
have
the can.
COVID.
Yeah.
You never know. So we're talking about... Actually, do you know what's an interesting question? Sorry, you just talking about that. We had... So someone gave me... I don't want to talk about this brewery because they are problematic, but the biggest brewery
I know
in
what it is
Michigan...
because you said... Okay.
I don't want to say their name.
I don't want to say their name because they're problematic. The biggest in Michigan.
You know who I'm talking about? Who are problematic?
Flounders?
That could be them. So I had their main stout. This guy's so funny. He's like, "Do it now. You know what I like. Thanks."
I'll send you some
What are you gonna do? Show me and I'll tell
Yeah.
you.
Give them the rare stuff that Craig doesn't want you to get rid
Yeah,
of.
it's just give me the stuff I would only never share with anybody. Even if someone came over and they wanted half a glass, I'd be like, no, give him that stuff. No worries about COVID. He's the Hulk. You know what? Beautiful.
Has to be
Oh.
IPA pale ales only, right?
Yeah, see what's going on in there. There's got to be something. Still waiting. She's looking, Steph. She's looking. So I had their main beer, and it was like it had that soya sauce thing that unfortunately happens to stouts. The first one. I have another bottle, but it's probably at the very least at 3 years old. It's a 750. I'd be worried that it is kind of like mash up.
You'll never know until you try it. Sometimes,
Either or. Keep that one because I haven't had that.
Okay.
Either of those two, whatever you feel.
Okay.
You can do them both if you want.
Yeah, I'd say 2 for good luck.
Huh?
Yeah, 2 for good luck.
Yeah. Steph, she's coming. She's gonna drop it at your door and just knock. Okay.
2 beers for Steph.
Look at that.
Lucky
He's
man.
he's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. Got to keep him drinking. You got to keep him.
He's got to open
keep
one
him.
with us if he's on the podcast.
Yeah. Right. Fuck. So like, what causes the soy? Do you know what causes that soy sauce and how? Because now I was just thinking about that Kentucky Bastard from 2014. I'd be pretty upset if that beer, because I know it's fire, and if that tasted like soy sauce, that's a shame, right?
I think the 14 could. I'm pretty sure the 16 will be fine. That high alcohol helps, I think. I remember reading a book on aging beer at one point, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I believe it has to do with um, the super dark malts. So
The dark malts do it. Okay.
yeah, like it's something to do with those really dark malts for whatever reason when they start oxidizing. Um, Over time, it could start creating that umami flavor in the beer.
Okay.
But like the actual chemical reaction, I'm not really totally sure. But I've definitely tasted it. I I find usually what ends up happening is when you get the soy sauce thing, it's really unpleasant and almost undrinkable.
Yeah.
But usually, in my experience tasting old stouts, they usually start going off, I find, when you lose all those roasted flavors and you start getting really, really strong sherry flavors, and that kind of takes over from what the beer was. But it's also a lot about personal taste, because I have some friends who are fine with that kind of profile on an older stout, whereas for me, I kind of miss that coffee chocolatey thing, because it starts over time. I feel like depending on the beer and depending on the alcohol content, when you hit like the 2 year mark, then you start losing that. I'm talking about a beer, let's say, that doesn't even have coffee, but you start losing that chocolatey and that coffee thing, and you start getting way more of that sherry port fortified wine thing, and you kind of lose out on what you want the stout to be to begin with. Whereas in something like a barley wine quads, they already have a little bit of that. So when you start bringing in that sherry profile, I feel like it marries better. It's still, I find, when you start hitting that like 3-4 year mark, even barley wines and stuff, I find it's too much for my palate. And they start getting thinner and more sweet, so it doesn't always work. But for stouts, I feel like stouts after a year, I don't like keeping them for more than a year or two, even though I have a bunch up here that are older than that. But there are also exceptions. Like I had like a 4 or 5 year old Hellwoods recently, and it was phenomenal. It's perfect.
Okay.
So, and like anything from Zuid Ciel, I don't know what they do, but their beers rarely fall off within 3 or 4 years. So
interesting. Okay, that's good to know. I've got, because those ones I've got in the behind the camera here is my little cellar area. I've got a few ones in the beer fridge I've kept for a while. I specifically kept one of my favorite stouts ever is Blood of Cthulhu from Sawdust City. I don't know if you ever had it. It's like a stout with, I think, raspberry and cherries.
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
It's just so good. So I've got 2 different 2 years of that. And I've got this other one from 12 West in Arizona. My friend Phil from BrewHeads sent me. And I want to do a 3-way vertical with those 3. I guess I need Tiff to help me with that one night. But because they're all 10% or whatever. But I hope they're all kind of old by now. I hope they're all standing up. And I hope I haven't... You know, this like quarantine, you're probably all just like... fuck, man, I'm going to get into all my shit.
But we are. Look how much we have not dove into the cellar.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's great.
Because that's actually a nice segue into one of the other things I want to talk about.
I just want to touch on what Noah said. That's exactly it. That eventually these coffee styles, because that's my favorite type that I was saying. I did an interview today and somebody was like, oh, what's your favorite like beer to sip on? And I was like, oh, coffee stout. But that is true. When you wait too long, then it's like, I guess a coffee bean is that cherry. So eventually that starts coming out and it...
Yeah.
I don't like that flavor, so there's a period that you have to hit where things are good, and then it goes into that direction, which I don't enjoy at all.
Right.
Yeah, and luckily with anything like that, you don't have to worry too much if you're talking about, a week to 6 months. But depending on the beer, if you're pushing like years, then
4 years or
a lot of the time, especially coffee, I find like stouts on. So you have beer like barley wines, quads, those things. They tend to just really last. Or obviously anything wild. Well, lambic can last forever, but even just wild beers in general don't always age super well. But stouts to begin with, I don't find last too well after a couple of years, and then you throw coffee into that mix or any other adjuncts, and I feel like that timeline gets shortened even more because the coffee thing, like we were talking about, can get really vegetal.
Yeah.
And you start losing the roast pretty quick too. But there are exceptions. Like I've had the beer we're drinking right now. I've had with a year or two on it. It was pretty good. But you do start tasting that weird vegetal thing a little bit.
Right. Interesting. I know this one's been around for a while, so like there definitely will be a few years, a few variants that were kind of older. Maddie from Vox and Hop says, "Cheers, cheers, Maddie."
Hey, Maddie. Oh, Maddie's next week, no?
Yeah, Maddie's coming on next week. Look at that. Then we're gonna do an orgy episode because I found out I can have everybody on at once.
That would be a nightmare to have 5 people in a podcast.
I'm gonna have
at
to
the same
control
time.
it.
Okay, I'm
gonna have to be
you
like
have to run like a panel and be like, okay, Maddie, you. Now
yes,
you
I'd
talk.
be like, okay, Noah. So define
what do
your
you
beers,
think?
Noah. You're up.
No, are you sleeping right now?
I think we were talking about that, weren't we? Though, like, was it you that I was talking about? I don't remember. I was talking about with someone, and I think it all depends on who you have on. Like, if who you have on has experience with being on meetings for work,
Then
they'll probably do a good job, right? Like me, you, Nate. I don't know how Chris is but even Maddie with hosting a podcast, it's like you know when to cut in and when not to, and
I wouldn't
try
have
and make
random
sure
people.
Best, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And I've seen the way Matt has a regular. Oh, Steve, what's the hang on,
Echo
sorry.
is tasty. Cheers.
Stefan, we gave him an Echo Hazy Session IPA. Echo is good. Shouts to JF. Stefan's loving that. Steve-O from Sunday Session. Brizzy is, mate, you're fucking ledge. Maddie is like, need to drive the ship. Yeah, exactly. So Matt does a Thirsty Thursdays Zoom session, like a drink session. So he controls it like that. So Matt knows how to control it. For a podcast, I would basically have you, Nate, Chris, and Matt on at once, so we could have that. And the way I looked it up, I haven't tried it, so I'd want to test it beforehand and see if all you guys can just Skype together. I think all we have to do is have a joint Skype call, and then this program automatically picks up the multiple Skype guests, and then it will populate the screen. So I don't know how it does that. So I definitely want to test it beforehand, because if that's a shit show, then I would just have to maestro that shit and just ask questions directed at everybody, or it can, like, we've done podcasts one time. Me and Scotty did me and him and 3 people.
I was thinking of that one, which was a disaster.
Yeah, it was such a bad podcast. It was a terrible podcast.
But everyone was really drunk.
It was
Also,
so fucking bad.
Ecamm is the software that we're using, so shout out to Stefan, because he's the one that put us onto the software. Which
we have an
phenomenal.
affiliate code, so in the description, if anyone is watching on YouTube, to put the description now, because I'm going to put that in every video. It's actually pretty handy. It's pretty dope to be able to do that. So Maddie said that would be sick. Yeah, bro. I'll keep you posted. I got a couple. I'm going to start to get some brewers in for a bit, and then I'll come back and get everybody in, break it up, make it fun. Because clearly this is going to be our lives for a while. So the segue I was going to before was something that we had talked about, where you messaged me the other day, and we just kind of feel a little overwhelmed with. I thought all the beer PR packages would just stop. I thought it would be like done for a while. Brewery, mostly in the sense that breweries wouldn't be releasing this many new beers, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have the marketing expense to be able to continually to send different people beer for reviews and such. But I feel like you and I are of anyone else I know, we get a pretty similar amount as far as our platforms and what people want us to cover from different places. So I think that's an interesting thing that I guess the kind of point here is that brewers are having a marketing budget still. And they're still finding that there's value in making sure that their new products, 1, are continuing to come out, and 2, that the same people pre-quarantine are talking about it, you know?
Yeah, and I think maybe it just occurred to me now, and I'm wondering if in Quebec it's just particularly challenging because a lot of breweries need people to get out there to those specific places and pick them up because we can't ship anything. But yeah, I was contacted during this whole time, like this work from home time, quarantine time. I think 5 new kind of contacts contacted me to see if I wanted to taste what they were offering, which like you said, I was really kind of thrown back by how much. But I think everyone's just hustling and trying to stay alive, and like you said, they see value in what we do, and still want to ship out beers. I had kind of assumed, like you, that it would stop, largely because like just going to ship stuff can be challenging during this period and whatever. But I guess everyone's just kind of found a way to do it.
I mean, a lot of them do use like Canpar or
Right.
Pure Later or FedEx or whatever on top of Canada Post. If they have the business account with Canada Post, they just print out the label, slap it on, then can arrange for a pickup. So they
Oh,
probably
that's
don't
true,
even
eh?
have to leave as long as they have a printer. They can print out the shit and do it from the small business accounts. And I know that there's certain breweries, mostly in Ontario, that I see in Quebec, they tend to use different services, which has been an interesting. Yeah, I guess we were just like kind of surprised that they were doing it. So it shows though, and this comes back to the other thing we were saying earlier with like not being able to get hold of Masorum or Wood Brothers or any of these hype beers that sell online. It's just a surprising thing that one, people are still going out of their way to buy hype, that breweries are still releasing new beers, and that there's a huge demand for those new beers. Like that hasn't changed. The appetite for beer hasn't specifically evolved with the times as much as perhaps you would.
Yeah, there's two things I'd want to call out about that.
Please,
One,
please.
the effects of unemployment have not been felt entirely yet, so we
Right.
do not know what this like 6 to 8 weeks where this lockdown has been happening, what that effect will look like for the industry 6 months down the line. Like, what does
Yeah,
it mean if
exactly.
all these people can't pay $14.95 for a bottle of beer right now?
Yeah.
So there's something that we have to think about now that might not be felt right now, but could be felt later. And also, too, I actually think the smartest thing you can do is to leverage the cheapest forms of marketing that you can, or the most cost-effective forms of marketing that you can during a time like this. Like, that is going to be your competitive edge.
And
So what
influencer
you
marketing.
would do, it's like, we have a relationship with these people. We know that they'll take care of us. We just need to send them beer. It's the cost of shipping, time, and the can, whatever that can price would be, which is not going to be that much in the grand scheme of
Exactly.
things. Wouldn't you
Those are
do that? That's
Great
like
point.
those are the first things that you should hit, because you're probably not going to buy. Like, we've had
lowest.
clients who are like, we need TV ads, we need to be in the TTC now and have a billboard. And it's like, when it comes like this, where you need to pay attention to your money, this is going to be the most cost effective form of marketing that you can get, which is just having you two guys sitting and drinking the beer and talking about it. So
Yeah.
it actually is the smartest thing you could do right now. That's when you're like, okay, we need to go grassroots to the public.
She does know. Stefan says she knows. That's why we keep her around, Steph. That's why we keep her around. No, you're
Well,
right.
and to tack on to what you were saying, Craig, and the thirst, for lack of a better term, is still there and probably even stronger. I mean, I don't know about you, but I found myself drinking a bit more than I normally do. At first, no, because I was sick for a few weeks there at the beginning of all this,
you
which
got
was scary. But after
What'd
that,
you have there, Noah? Sorry. I'm sick with what?
without getting all into it, I had similar symptoms for a few weeks, but they weren't particularly intense. But they weren't bad enough that I could get tested, nor were they, nor could I could go to the doctor either, because I had symptoms that matched
too
COVID.
risky.
So I was kind of
Okay.
just stuck at home.
I guess
and
if you're
just had to
resting your
like
family,
live it
it's
out.
okay. Then
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
obviously
they've
were
been fine. They didn't get anything. So I don't know. I don't know if it was what it was or if it was not, but it was some kind of respiratory bug that I
Right.
had for almost 3 weeks.
It's kind of
Jeez,
hazy,
that's
kind of
interesting.
crazy.
Yeah.
Stefan is saying,
It
and
was
I'm not.
weird.
Yeah, it was kind of wild, right? Like at least you got through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But what? But yeah, I think either you have people who are still getting their existing salary, and those people are bored and working from home and drinking more, and then coupled with people who maybe are not working at all but getting unemployment, and I'm not going to call them not being responsible with their money, whatever. Everyone does what they want, but like maybe people are just going wild and ordering shit. Like everyone's at home all day and
Yeah.
they're bored. And like I don't know about you, but when I look at social media, all I see is jokes about everyone drinking constantly. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what's happened since the
Constantly.
beginning of all this. And I know a lot of that's tongue in cheek, but I think there's an underlining truth to all that,
to it.
coupled with like all the
Yeah.
mental health issues that are going to come as a result of this. And
Mhm.
what do
Oh,
we all
yes.
self-medicate? We self-medicate by drinking alcohol and
Yep.
pot and that stuff, right?
That's a good
So-
fucking point, bro. The I haven't had anyone mention that before. The mental health implications of this. We're all gonna have a mild form of PTSD for sure, and we
Oh, without
don't
question.
realize it
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel that bad because we're not essential workers. We're not healthcare. We're not fucking fighting the good fight. We're promoting beer and
Staying
whatever the
inside.
fuck online and staying inside, like whatever. What I've had to do personally for my own to create a routine and to create some sort of well-being, because as you know, I kind of get sick a lot. So what I've tried to do, I've actually been good for the last little while because
Well, you're not getting any germs too, which is good.
because I'm hardly going anywhere. I mean, typically I don't go anywhere anyway. I very rarely on the bus. I would go to get my haircut. I would go to the supermarket. I don't go many places. But well, aside from traveling, then we travel. Then different.
Yeah, you're going everywhere, man.
That's That's actually a good point. When I'm in the city, I go nowhere. When I'm traveling, we go everywhere.
Yeah.
True. But I've locked myself into Tuesdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday drinking. Any other day, if you want to drink on a Sunday. So that's why you boys were like, yeah, you want to talk Sunday? Yeah, cool, but I'm not going to drink. And I'm being like strict with that. Stefan is saying, as long as I had beer, I am cool.
I took Stefan's my champion right now.
He knows what's up. He's rapping. Took a care.
And take that delivery, okay? That's
right,
special,
the beer
special delivery.
So Stefan, we're gonna get those Masoran. We're gonna get the beer, bro. I told you about it. Yeah, but like I find that that's been really helpful to try and like keep a strict drinking regimen that doesn't really go past that. If I haven't been feeling good, last week I think I wasn't feeling great. I felt a bit run down, so I skipped the Tuesday, and then I was good to go by the Thursday. So then you end up having 4 days in a row, and I find that having like 3 days on, then having 2 days off, 1 day on, 1 day off, then back to 3 days on, it's a nice balance for me. It works well, and I found that to be I'm not what's the word? Sometimes you're not drinking, and maybe like Tiff would drink when I'm not. I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh fuck, man, I just want
That's generally me.
Like, she would feel like that when she has a night off. When I'm
having
drinking,
a night off and I look over and you're drinking, I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and then she's like, all right, I'm gonna drink. And
I'm like, fine, if you're forcing me, and you're like, had said nothing.
Like, I said nothing. I'm just here. But I find that's a really interesting way to do it, and I'm not sure if anyone else is sort of finding that, because I know that more people than not have said that they've been drinking more during this period, because it's obvious, like you said, it's like most people aren't used to. You're not used to being home this much. You're not used to having. You said you have 3 hours a day of travel time typically, right? So you've got 3
and a half.
3.5.
Oh my goodness.
So you got 3.5, almost 4 hours back of your life every day.
Yeah.
Which you probably have struggled at initially to know what the fuck to do with yourself.
Well, I hope you sleep more.
Well, I hope you sleep more too.
I have kids, so.
Oh, so
right, so you get to hang out with
your
kids more. That's beautiful, right? That's a great.
It is. It's it's the it's the thing. This whole thing has a huge silver lining. There's so many positive things in my household that have happened as a result of this.
That's great.
My kids never played together, and now they play together all day, every day. They chase each other around. They wrestle.
Interesting.
They argue maybe a bit more, but the amount that, like, if they argued this much before and played this much before, now they argue this much but play together that much,
Right.
Were they in different, like one was in daycare, one is in kindergarten? Is that why? So they weren't hanging out with each other enough to want to like play with each other?
Yeah, and just like, and it brings up a lot of guilt, almost talking about it, but like, because I have we have that travel time, they're in school and daycare for 10 to 11 hours a day. So when they get home, they're fucking tired too. So when I would get home, I'd come in and I'd start cooking, and they would be like, fuck off, I'm going to play on my tablets, because we just spent the entire day not on screens. We want some screens. So they would get their screen time, and then we would eat. Sometimes we would eat in front of the TV. Sometimes we eat as a family, whatever. And then it's getting ready for bed. So like they don't have time to interact in a real way until the weekend. Now, for how long has it been? 6 weeks? 5
at
weeks?
least, yeah,
They're
at least 6.
together.
Like at least by like March 6th to 8th ish is when we went to Vermont, and like shortly after that.
I think the official date is March 15th.
Is it? Okay.
I think that's where everyone manages it from. So therefore, then,
Yeah.
do you think, as someone who, and you are a very unique person, you work for a company that makes this like teleconferencing software, which is fucking like you guys are,
must be a good time for you guys.
Doing all right.
We're doing well.
So do you think that when things are allowed to come back, do you think your company will be more comfortable? I mean, this is really off topic for beer, but like, do you think you'll be able to continue to work from home for a bit? Because I would imagine for you, it sounds like one, it would, you'd get a little bit more rest. You get to see your family and your missus more and your kids more. Like, it seems like it's a whole bunch of positives for you personally. Or do you think they'll
probably
be
can't get into it too much here, just because
Yeah.
it's work-related stuff. But in theory, my job could 100% be done from home. However, there are some reasons why they want people in the office. So I don't know what's going to happen after this. I have a feeling that things are just eventually going to become back to normal,
Back to
and they
normal.
That's
expect
what my theory
that
is.
I'm
Yeah.
have to be at work.
Yeah.
But all this to say, I would love to be able to work from home because I would save myself 3.5 hours a day, and it would be so much better for my family.
Yeah.
Whereas then Jenny works at McGill, and all of her meetings are in person, and they're getting by with Zoom and all that. But literally all day, every day, I sit there on calls like this, and I don't do video. I just get on audio, and I talk to people that aren't in my office. I'm surrounded by people in my office, but I don't interact with them in any outside from just socially. So I don't need to be in the office, but I have a feeling that once this is all back up and running, that I will have to go back into the office again, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I think what this time should have served was to really show people how redundant certain things were, and
Yes.
a lot of things. And I hate this so much. It's just things are done because it's always the way they've been done.
Yeah.
And that's not an excuse for doing something. Well, oh, we always did it this way. Like, I was always paying $27,000 in rent a month to house these people who could all work from home. There are so many companies that are thriving. Slack is a great example. Google just announced that all of their employees are just going to work through to 2021, and they'll reevaluate
Really?
2021
Yeah.
when everyone needs to come back into an actual physical office, because it does not matter. One of our clients, 1,200 employees, they're all working. We're Zoom calling. We're talking on Slack, Asana. You don't actually need to be there, and I do think it's cool every now and then to have that physical, like this touch point in person. But did your business struggle? Did you guys fall apart? No, you adapted and it works. So in the end, it is actually redundant. I have two issues with this. It's redundant from a time perspective. So like you're traveling, for example, for you 3 hours, 3.5 hours to get to some place. For what reason, really? You don't actually need to be there. The work can be done when you're not there. But two, I just keep hearing too many people talk about like spending time with their family and how they enjoyed this. And it's like, you should always... No, that's not fair that you're not always enjoying your family, because why do you have them there? So that you enjoy them when they're 19 and you're 65 or something? Like, what is the point of that all?
Yeah.
So we had a brewer that was like, hey, like, because of this, I'm watching, like, my daughter grow up, and it's cool because I didn't get to watch my first daughter grow up, and now I'm watching the second one, and wow, it's really nice to, like, see them as a baby and stuff. I'm like, that is really sad to me that you have these children, you don't even get to enjoy their existence.
I'll tell you later, someone you know.
Yeah, someone you know. But when he said that, I was just like, that is so sad that you're, like, have to talk about how amazing of an experience it is to watch the child you bring into the world, when you should always be able to do that, especially fathers, because they get a minimal paternity leave,
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I never go anywhere, is because it's partly because my work week is so long, and I only see my kids for like 2-3 hours a night during the week, that like the idea of going out all day on a Saturday or a Sunday means like I don't see them, and this is the most important time of their life. And so I kind of going back to it, like this probably couldn't be better timed in the sense for my family, because if they were teenagers, they'd just be in their room playing Fortnite. And trust me, that like my son wants to do that, but and he does. But all they want all day is me, all day, me or Jenny, and that's kind of unique and challenging, but also amazing, right? Like I get to be at my desk. I get up before my kids, and then I get to be at my desk, and then they both wake up, and they come over and they just like get on me and hug or whatever. Like I don't. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. That's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
I feel
that's
like
really nice. That's what it is. If you're a dad, you should be able to enjoy the dad role or something. Like you should be able. You shouldn't be like, hey, I birthed you. See you guys when you're 17 and come home and like I don't know. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like this should be the way that it is.
But I mean, you brought up such amazing points in the sense that like this challenged our ability to work remotely, and clearly it's working out just fine. Like both of us are working from home full time at the same time, and we have kids that are of challenging ages. Sorry, I should preface that if Edie was like 3 or younger, this would be a different situation. But the fact that she's 5 and my son is 8, um, it's doable. It's challenging. Sometimes I'm on a meeting and they're screaming at each other, and like that's not easy.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can do this, it's almost, and it's interesting what you were saying before, because it's almost as if the technology has been getting there for the last, let's say, 3-4 years, but people didn't realize.
Yeah.
So that when the fact that this happened now, and everyone's like, oh, we just have to pay for this, and then we can do it all from home. Like, we've been selling like that's what I've been doing for the last 13 years, is selling conferencing, and I mean, everyone's jumping on Zoom and the video thing and whatever, but you don't even necessarily need the video thing. Like you don't even have to necessarily see each other. You just need to talk, but if you want, the video component's obviously there, but like there are all these like these industry enterprise level conferencing components that like are very accessible and easy to use, and like anyone can work from home. I mean, you guys have been working from home forever.
Yeah, 5 years now.
I spoke to Pinterest like yesterday. I had a call with Pinterest yesterday, and just had a call with like Facebook. We have not seen each other. I have a Facebook marketing person on our team helping us. Never seen her. I know where she lives. She's in Niagara. She's so cool. Like, I didn't know they even had offices or anything out there. Why do I need to see her? What more value could she have provided to me, even by video, for example? I don't need to see her by video. But 2, did I need to go and travel to go see her for her to deliver value? No. It's what's efficient. It makes the most sense. It just makes the most sense that I dial in, and here we are, you know? So
Stefan actually said that BMO is doing the same thing. He said BMO too, so maybe
BMO's
gonna Google.
Awesome. Are going to be like 20.
Yeah.
I love that. They're just like, let's defer to 2021 and revisit it then.
Yeah.
Because we already have the structure. Slack, I'm sure, will go the same way too. Like,
it's 100%. Like, something we've been working from home in July. It's 5 years since we've been working full time for ourselves, like with no other safety net or anything like that. And when we were sort of starting up, I feel like it hasn't come up as much, but I feel like there's some sort of judgment from potential clients or whatever. Like, oh, we'll come by your office. And it's almost like, oh, we never had it. We did have an office over the last year.
Yeah, but we barely
got
used
rid
it.
of it
We
last
barely
month
used it.
because we barely went there. And it was a co-working space, which was dope because we didn't use it in Montreal that much. But when we went to Toronto, we used it.
And
we used it in San
SF,
Francisco. Like, it's all over the world. But there was a COVID case in the office place, and they didn't communicate it well. I'm like, what's the point? So I'm like, why should we have, Stefan is a great example. He's an entrepreneur since he's 18. He's never had a real job, and he's in his 40s.
I don't think, Stefan, have you ever had an office in this like 30+ year career? Oh, 30 years. Okay.
30 years. So he's been working for himself for 30 years. I don't believe he's ever had
thriving
job.
business.
He's like a mentor for us, and a friend, but a mentor, and
Wow.
he's been guiding us. He's got like 155,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's dominating. Suckers have office space, he says. So people used to like judge us, bro. Like, it really pissed us off that we used to have to feel. He's like, lol. We used to feel guilty when we were like, come meet us at a cafe for a coffee for a thing. But now people are realizing it doesn't matter when everybody are much more efficient, because then you're closer to your kids. Your kids actually get to see you rather than all of us who grew up with having to be in school or daycare or whatever the fuck it is away from your parents. So the kids are probably happier. You're happy because you get to see your kids. If you do have an opportunity to go somewhere, say you have a beer fest or somewhere like you who is so time constricted because of your travel, and then you do want to see your kids, you would have seen them so much during the week, you won't feel as bad to run out for 5 hours
away on the weekend.
Right, exactly. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these positive benefits of things, and I think that's a good point that you sort of both have made, that at the end of this, I really hope people sort of like take away any judgment call, because we have all the tools at the ready, and whatever, your company or Zoom, or fuck Zoom. Like, I didn't even know Zoom existed until this. We use like Google Hangouts. Like, I didn't need to, because I didn't video conference with anyone. I use FaceTime or like Hangouts or whatever. Like, I have a client my client specifically now, excuse me, we use Hangouts every week. We have our calls on Hangouts. Or he'll just FaceTime me and be like, whatever he needs. Like, it's fine. Like, we don't need anything complicated or expensive or any of that shit. Like,
if I was an employee right now, I would probably have been monitoring the last 6 to 8 weeks. And when the time came to be back in the office, I would have been like, this is how much work I completed extra in comparison to what it's like when I'm at an office.
And make
and somebody comes and make a use case and be like, this is why I'm more productive at home, and it makes more sense that I'm at home. Because when I think about myself in the office, I think about how many people came to stop and talk to me about nothing. So like think
And
about all
waste
the
your
time you
time.
take out to just sit and talk about another. You're actually more productive just zoning in, sitting
Fuck
somewhere and zoning
that.
in, and then signing off when you're supposed to
Yeah,
sign
like
off.
there's just no point. I feel like it's
And
kind of
really,
cool.
the work week, but that's like a whole other thing. Should probably be like, I mean, the work day should probably be like 6 hours, not 8 hours. And
That's such an
like,
antiquated
think
thing.
about the Facebook time that you have and all this stuff. But when you're actually just zoned in, and you do your
Just
thing.
get
in the
your
short
shit
hours,
done.
You get your shit done.
Boom, boom,
and one
done.
of our clients, what I've loved about them, and they've been doing this since 2015. One, there's no travel restrictions at all. You do whatever you do because everything's project based. You just know what you're supposed to do and you get it done. So if you're
Tiff,
supposed,
I want to work for you.
this is what
gotta
I
hire
want
no
for. You gotta hire no one now. Hey, you're really
Boom.
talented, so I would love to. But I think that's how you move into the new wave, and this is what I'm hoping comes out of something like this. And everybody's like, "Wow, the world didn't fall apart when we let Noah, for example, work from home." Wow,
Right?
How
Oh,
crazy
exactly.
of a notion.
And I'm sure, and you said something to me as well. You showed me the thing. You go, dude, I haven't had all this time, and I've caught up on all of these photos that you had to edit and do, and like the beer reviews you had to post.
'Cause you're
So
not
you've been
wasting
not only
3.5
more
hours of your day.
exactly, and now the worst thing is that you don't listen to as many podcasts as you used to. Fucking
Same with us, yeah.
Same as us, but like. You've been able to be more productive. You're getting more beer content out, which is more valuable for the beer people who you deal with, just like we do. You've been able to see your kids more. You probably got more fucking work done. You just, you get out of bed 5 minutes before you have to be there, make your coffee or whatever. You sit down, you do your shit. Like, I don't know, man. It's just a whole new world, and I hope
I've been
something
getting
changes.
a lot more sleep, which is nice. I've been actually going to bed at almost the same time, but getting up an hour and a half later, so I've been getting almost an hour and a half more sleep every
Which is
night.
better. I bet you feel better and like probably less, I don't know, small things, less crankier because you don't have to sit there and this dickhead on the train that's got their feet up and blah, blah, blah. Like all those small little aggravations, microaggressions all day. Stefan is saying he had a factory once. I was a loser. Someone invented high-speed internet.
For a reason. Oh, I guess you're saying like that. Yeah.
Boomer business practices have to go. That's exactly what it is. Boomer business practices. Have you breathed the air in MTL? Was biking and it just smells so clean. I haven't noticed because I've had a fucking face mask on my head every single time I leave the house. So I didn't know about the air. Yeah, because we should be wearing masks. One concern, like I know we haven't talked a lot about beer for the last like 20 minutes, but I'm rather concerned. We got accused of being. Should we even bring that up or not bring that up?
Oh, it's fine. On our YouTube channel, Craig told everybody to stay at home, and we got accused of being
Promoting mainstream
propaganda.
propaganda.
Like from
This whole tattoo, where is it? On my arm. This is all about conspiracy theories. This is like I genuinely.
Craig was pissed.
I'm not a full conspiracy guy, but like honestly, the 5G, I think the 5G isn't a great thing, but I don't have any like connection between 5G and the COVID thing.
Oh, no, that's just silly nonsense. Absolutely nonsense.
That's absurd.
But, like, yeah.
And then someone accused us of, because staying home, like, okay, everyone's worried about the economy. Do you want to fucking die? Have you seen these cunts in the park who are like, they just don't, there's cops always we can see the park, so I'm gesturing this way because it's at our window. We have a park we can see from our window where we live near the mountain in Montreal. And it's absolutely ridiculous where there's people there. And we have 50%, more than 50% of the cases in Canada and by far the most deaths in this region. So like from the rich area, because those motherfuckers went to Florida and stuff. And then you got the poorer area, St. Michel and stuff, who have it all. So Montreal is the worst hit in all of Canada. And you go outside. We went to Parc Laurier on the other day when it was nice. That was a bad move,
It was
man.
rammed.
I've been scared for my life almost because there was so many people.
So
I
many
couldn't
people,
believe
yeah.
it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, you can, because it's Montreal. Of course
Okay,
you can
yeah,
believe
it's
it.
true.
This is just who they
Yeah,
are.
I mean, I even drove to the grocery store on one of the. Was it last Saturday? Was it last Saturday or Sunday? That was gorgeous. I think it was Saturday.
I think,
Yeah,
that was
I
the
think
day we
so.
went for the walk. Yeah.
And even in El Pro, like, I was just so surprised how many people were outside.
And nobody's got a mask on. No one taking it seriously, man.
No, I've been wearing one. Almost out of just respect, like.
Yeah.
But to your original point there of being kind of attacked, I feel like you'd be damned either way, right?
Yeah.
Like if you even suggested that we were being too cautious, then you'd have the other side railing on you, right?
Yeah.
So I think
You can't
I
win.
wouldn't think too much of it, like you can't win,
Yeah.
right? Like because you're gonna have these two sides of this whole thing, like anything, that are just gonna tear into you no matter
Doesn't matter what you say.
And
no matter how.
Stefan commented and said it's probably a Twitter user, and I'd probably say Reddit.
Yeah, it's more of a Reddit.
Twitter is one, but there's like another deeper level where Reddit.
Like I absolutely get the conspiracy side, because the whole thing about the conspiracy, you don't want. With the thinking is that the government is trying to control us and manipulate us into doing things that we otherwise wouldn't do, in an ultimate goal of control. Right now, we're all controlled and we're told to stay home, but like, this virus is real. It's not fake. So, okay, so whether it was put here by some conspiratorial reason or it was in a lab and they let it go, whatever the fuck happened, we don't really know. Whether it was from a guy eating a bat or fucking anything else.
It was a guy eating a bat.
Probably, I believe that. I don't believe it all. I really feel like the truth is generally in the middle, and I think there are some conspiratorial shit going on, but there are also some greedy motherfuckers who want to keep the world a certain way.
Conspiratory, for those on the podcast who can't see, I'm putting up quotation marks. I think that part of it, I just want to let people know.
No.
I think that part of it comes with the never let a tragedy go to waste.
Yeah.
I think the conspiracy is going to come in that, because, say, for example, if your issue is like, oh my gosh, you're going to push vaccines on it. Of course you're fucking going to push vaccines on it, because vaccines make a lot of money. So in this tragic situation that's happened, why, as a pharmaceutical company or people invested in pharmaceutical companies, wouldn't you use this to your advantage? Am I going to invest in the stock market? We did. Things happened, shit started plummeting. It's not like we wanted people to get sick and fail, but obviously this opportunity is here to purchase lower while the market's on sale. We're going to take advantage of it. It's not a conspiracy. It's just something that has happened, and some people are taking advantage of it and doing what they need to do to leverage it.
Exactly.
And then there's the rest of us who are like, just stay the fuck home so we can have a summer in Montreal, because summer's 2 months here.
But
so can we fucking have a summer in Montreal?
They can't relax. They can't hold themselves back, and they won't stay home. And you see them in the park, and every single day, it snowed today, and then 2 hours later they're in the park, and I'm like, they need to chill.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stefan is saying, I use a scarf, went to 3 drugstores, no mask. Bad,
and you using
Stefan.
a scarf is good. That's fine. Like, people use scarf, we use bandanas. My mom had to send us like some secret shipment of a bunch of gloves and masks.
Like the proper masks. Not N95.
It just felt like, fuck, look we're
crazy.
getting on the other side here, like from Toronto.
Right? Stefan saying, where's Noah from? Noah, you're from Quebec, but you live in Ile-Perrot.
I'm from Montreal. I grew up in the West Island of Montreal, and right now I live in Ile-Perrot.
Ile-Perrot.
And he says X-Files, Bat-Files.
But anyway, it's sort of like, it's a crazy time. It's super hectic. I just want people to take it serious, because, like, think about this, right? We Tiff and I travel a lot, like we're saying, and this summer we ain't going to be traveling. All the things we had planned, they're all cut. Everything's gone because the world is cancelled. So the only thing we have in our life is going for a walk, and now I feel going for a walk is stressful, because that's the one time we don't wear a mask. We only wear a mask when we go into public spaces. We go for walks in side streets around our area in different neighborhoods. We go to Plateau or Myland or Outremont or something. And there's always people around, and we're always zigzagging across streets, because there's like all these people here, and like fuck. And Stefan says good beard.
Good beard.
You have a good
Where's
beard.
that guy know from? Montreal. Good beard.
Good beard. Yeah, that's why we have him on. That's why we have him on,
It's a pretty powerful beard.
It's a really solid beard. A really solid beard. Look at it. It's great. It's not even a neck beard. It's only partial neck.
Yeah, it's
keep
just
that
like,
neck clean, bro. It's good. It's good. Great beard.
It's a high quality beard for sure.
Anyway, whatever. It's an interesting fucking time, and it's like, it's unprecedented, and it
sucks for us, because we're just going to be some of the last people opened in the end, really,
Montreal?
technically. Because nothing's going to open if we just keep having cases increase, because nobody fucking stays home. Whoa.
Oh, you're going to bust out some J-Mo.
Yeah.
Oh. Bit of J-Mo. You know what? Do it. I need to piss so bad.
Pesce J-Mo. You hear about this?
Can you come over here? Oh, we can't see it over there.
Go. So it was aged
Caskmates, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Irish whiskey. Oh.
So that was the whiskey that was aged in the Pesce barrel.
So they did Pesce aged in Jameson barrels, and then I think they took those barrels and sent them back to Jameson.
And then aged the Pesce in that. Yes.
Jameson in the Pesce Jameson barrels. And
they have like a pretty good partnership going on, because I actually work with one of the, it's like the marketing companies on my other side for Jameson. And I noticed that was one of the things that they were pushing, which was the GDCL collaboration. They're just very good with the collaborations in that sense. But that I've never had, and I feel like, so it's just Jameson in a whiskey barrel, right? It's just Jameson.
So I think it's, and someone please correct me, I believe it's Jameson aged in barrels that had Peche in them.
In them. Okay.
Yeah.
That seems like that makes sense. And I like cask mates for that reason. Stefan, who's commenting, and says powerful and nice. Oh, powerful, the beard. Yes, the beard is powerful. But also nice for the beer. You're a big GDCL fan, you know, because we've taken you to a few Peche days. And yeah, that's a huge event, and it's just one of the best beers in the world. Yeah, how is that? I haven't seen that anywhere. I need to try to get my hands on that.
It just came out like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So check on this at the SAQ. There's a lot around the province now.
Okay.
I liked it so much that I had a friend who was going to get me a second bottle today. I'm just gonna stick it in the cellar.
Right. Oh, I definitely need to get that then. Oh, I see this limited edition. Okay. There it is.
Yeah, I'm not a big Jameson fan, and so that's why I originally only got the first barrel or the first bottle, and then when I tasted it, I really enjoyed it. So
it's really funny because
I don't know if it'll ever happen again.
Yeah, and I feel like Jameson is just really funny. I love that they did that because that's like the Montreal drink of choice.
Yeah, no, it's not even Montreal. It's like Toronto too.
I don't feel when I was in Toronto, Jameson wasn't pushed as hard. When I moved to Toronto, I was like, why is everyone obsessed with
Montreal
getting freaking Jameson shots? Like,
no, I found that
want to shoot whiskey
in
first
Canada.
Of all.
No, just a Canadian thing. So when I first moved, I was going out a lot because I was single. I met Tiff 6 months after I moved here. So I was going out all the time, meeting new people, like going out, met these boys, like, yeah, we're fucking going out, boom, boom. And every single time it was like, cool, get a beer and we'll get a JMO shot. I'm like, fuck, I don't like shots. Like, I don't like it at all. And everyone was just always doing them. Like, why do you keep doing the shots? I was like, should I save some of this for a photo or anything? Or like, because we have no beers for the photo.
Oh, shit.
That's why I was saving this.
Okay, fine, yeah.
And then we can have some of that, so we drain that other one.
Here, put it in so it can blend. No,
yeah,
so I'm
get
glad
yourselves a bottle of this.
No, I just checked it out. I just went over to the SAQ to see where it's available. So that's good. We'll be able.
It's only $40. Is it at any hours?
Let me ask you this, Mr. Thorne.
Yes, sir.
Do you drink any spirits?
Yeah, I do, but I don't do it often. So if I was going to have, Tiff got me onto gin. I vomited off Seagram's gin when I was 16 with my boy because I was big into hip hop and Snoop had gin and juice, so we bought Seagram's and we got fucked up off in a party. I vomited everywhere. Never really drank it again because it was such a bad experience. And then Tiff got me onto it, and I love small batch gin with particularly with the small batch tonic and the fun tonics that they make. Different flavors gin. We go to Dillon's in Niagara all the time. We go to Four Pillars in Yarra Valley in Melbourne whenever we go to there. Bar Hill in Vermont. Bar Hill, dude, was out of control. Oh my god. It's just ridiculous. So I'm a big fan of gin. We went to a distiller in Ouray, Colorado called KJ and W, KJ Wood.
Yeah,
and they had this. The gin was amazing, but they had this rye, and the rye we've got like a drop, like half an ounce.
I don't even know why I'm holding on to legit a half an ounce. Just because I don't want to end up sitting there, so like, pointless.
We can't get it again. but yeah,
I'm
so
like,
like,
we're not going to go to Ouray, Colorado for a really long time. So.
I feel like if I didn't, and this is something that only you would understand, if I didn't have the same level of things to do in the realm of beer with regard to content creation, I would certainly vary up my alcohol. Like I would drink whenever I go to the wineries with Tiff. I actually quite enjoy it because I was like, I don't have to drink beer for once. I can sit here and drink wine all day. I'm usually the driver, so I would just sip her stuff.
And you don't have to take a bunch of photos.
And have to take photos. Steph said he got arrested on tequila.
Please break down that story for us, Steph.
Tell us about that,
I'd like to know a lot more about that.
But yeah, so I would like to drink more spirits, but I feel so indebted. I have so much to do with the beer. I don't. Do you know what I wanted? Okay, an interesting thing.
Like even though I drinks
that shit. No, I love it.
And it still has GDCL. It's attached to GDCL.
Right, still good to do it.
Somehow you worked beer in there somehow.
Right? Yes.
It's the only way to do it. I got so I know you're into marijuana. I'm a fan. I do not smoke. I have not smoked for 11 years, but I participate in all sorts of edible. You like to talk about it?
To be honest, I'm not even.
We're talking about alcohol.
Marijuana.
You know? Okay. Well,
maybe once every 2 weeks I'll take like a bong to That's about the extent of my marijuana consumption.
I
See,
respect
Stefan
that.
just can't talk about.
He can't talk
Oh,
about
you can't
it.
talk
I
about the
respect
tequila thing. Okay,
Probably
we'll
'cause
talk
he's
about it
like-
offline.
we'll talk about it
offline.
So I got this stuff. There's basically a 2 milligram THC soda, and I had it before, so I just ordered a couple more. So what? And my friend Rich, you met Richard, didn't you? Did you meet Rich?
Yep.
Yeah. So Rich, I
Good times.
told him to get it. So I get the sprays, I get the oils, I buy gummies from elsewhere, and I get these sodas. So what I want to do, I want to have a night where they're only 2 milligrams, so they're super light. So what I want to do is add gin and some like lime or something to these sodas. So the soda gets you high, the gin gets you drunk, and then have like 2 or 3 of those all night. And just like, I feel like it's the most perfect middle ground situation. Because most nights now, I got the mouth spray and I got the indica and the sativa. So the indica's been like, I tried it last night for the first time. I had some earlier tonight, but I know that it won't kick in until later, so it hasn't kicked in really yet. Because I don't want to be high usually for when I'm doing content, because then I
Right.
get awkward and shit.
Yeah.
Which is the only
Or
problem with
paranoid or whatever.
not really paranoid, only if I'm out and about, I guess. But like, I get a little awkward or whatever the fuck. But like, I enjoy the mildness, and I like the. Stefan says, "Don't talk to him about edibles." I gave him one night. One night we went to Bira. This is before I was doing a lot of beer content, so I didn't really know them. I gave him a chunk of. I used to make weed cookies at home before I started being able to get all this other fun stuff. legally.
Edibles are the worst thing.
No, they are the best thing, and it's only bad if you fuck up and you don't know what you're doing. So he fucked up. He took a big chunk from me, and he's like, I was like, I pulled that one out. I go, that's a bit big. He's like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll take it, and he take it. Oh man, we had to leave Bira. He couldn't. He got like, it hit him hard. Poor guy. I fucked him up. I didn't mean to. So but edibles are bad.
My ex. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I'll say edibles are only bad if you do it wrong. But continue. Tell me about it.
But I feel like I've never had a good experience with an edible. So like I when I don't smoke a lot of weed now, but when I was younger, I smoked a shit ton of weed and like daily weed consumption. But it was always smoked. And the 2 or 3 or 4 times I ever did edibles, it was always an awful experience. It always lasted way too long, and I was exhausted, and I just didn't want to move, and it was always terrible. My ex, who I did a lot of drugs with, and she was way more into more hardcore drugs, so she'd done like everything under the sun and always been fine. And the one time I ever had to save her like off a bad trip was off eating a fucking weed cookie. Like I had to go and like pull her off a couch and like put her in a car because she couldn't move. So anyway, like for me, edibles have always been the worst. But I know, probably to your point, it's understanding like how that edible is made and how much, because it was always just a clusterfuck back then, right? You just threw a bunch of weed in with
You're
some
like,
cookies or whatever. And
yeah.
No, but people are
but
actually
I
throwing
don't
clumps
like
of weed.
slow. Like I don't necessarily like smoking anything.
Smoking sucks.
So
It's trash.
I have enjoyed. At one point, Jenny was getting these kind of like throwaway weed pens where it was just like
the
vape
I know
pens.
the
I
ones.
liked those because there wasn't that harsh kick that you get from ingesting like a carcinogen, like when you actually like the flower, or whatever. But at least like even when you're smoking it that way, like there's a control element, and you know that you're gonna get hard. But like I feel like anytime you're drinking or eating or like taking a pill or whatever, it's just like this unknown to me that I'm just not comfortable with. And maybe you can teach me your
I'm
thorny
more than
way.
happy. Yeah,
All
man,
my worst highs have been through edibles.
Right, but
All
so,
the
so
worst
but
times.
what Tiff is referring to back in the day, this is before we purchased professionally manufactured stuff.
Yeah.
We had a few incidents where we took too much because it was someone else's shit. Every time it was someone else's
Like
shit.
Steph, I see how we fucked you up, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
And I didn't mean it, and I apologize. And he was like, he's cool about it. Of
No,
course,
but you
like,
also said it's fine. I'm sure.
no,
it's
because
fine.
I told him not to, and he told me always trust the baker, and he didn't trust the baker. He thought he knew more. So Steph is a G with that.
You didn't
but-
help yourself.
No, exactly. So I used to buy from. I smoked. I used to get sick all the time from smoking. It's why I got a lot of colds. And my brother gave me in 2009, June 2009. I stopped smoking. No, sorry, I lie. October 2009, I smoked my last blunt for the last time ever. And in June 2010, like 3 months before I left for Canada, Brad gave me these cookies that his dealer made, and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm smelling my hands because I'm used to my hands smelling like smoke or whatever when I'm doing. I'm like, what the fuck? I feel the exact same thing, but I'm like, this is it tripped me out, and it blew my mind. So from then, I moved to Canada. I found this shop in Toronto that was making them some sort of shady under the table thing. It was copying them from them, and Tiff's like, why don't we make our own? I'm like, all right, so I started getting bud, and we figured out. We made some shit version. It was way cheaper.
Yeah.
So we started making our own, and the thing about making your own is that you kind of like learn the strength of them by just taking like a quarter at a time or a fraction at a time. You have to start slow. The problem is people go, it's a brownie, it tastes so good, I couldn't stop. Shut the fuck up, you fucking 12-year-old.
Yeah, my mom was in Jamaica and someone gave her a brownie and she was like, yeah, a little weed brownie, not a big deal. And then she was like, I had to just like go home and just lie down, like go to her
because people don't understand.
and just lie down and go
people
back to
can't
bed.
control themselves, so everyone has so
or
many bad...
Or some people could eat more. That's the problem too.
They eat more because they either don't know, they weren't warned.
Or
they don't know because
because
everyone sits there and they wait half an hour like, nothing's happening, let me have more. Like, it's not how it works, man. So you have to, like, even with the legal shit, because I get oils, sprays, gummies, beverages, all of that, and I know approximately, I started experimenting. I experimented with 2 milligram, with 5, with 10, with 50, and like, I know what does what to me. For me, my body, right? And then that changes, like, how the effects are. So if I was going too hard and trying to be a hard ass and have 20, 30, 40 milligrams, I would be fucked. I'd be off my head. And I wouldn't have a good time. And I'd be pissed. And I'd be like, fuck edibles. But, like, most people don't do it smart. And that's the thing. Because, like, the oils... Like, my brother, I watch him. He's a big smoker. So his entire night is surrounded by just going somewhere, going outside, smoking, coming back in, enjoying the high for 10 minutes, and then spending the next fucking 15 minutes grinding and rolling and preparing for the next time you have to get high. Whereas I take my oil or my spray or my gummy at the start of the night, boom, never even think about it again. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty, I think, of the edibles that people don't understand.
It's also a different high, though. So
it is a different high.
Like, when you smoke, it's like you smoke and you get high, and you're probably high for, like, 30 minutes, if that's even being generous, perhaps. I can't really remember.
Even know.
It's been a while.
Been a while for me, too.
But, like, and it's also, like, it's really high in the beginning, then you just kind of, like, chill out, and you feel, like, kind of wavy. Yeah. But, like, when you have the edibles, it's, like, creeping on your body slowly, and it's, like, 8 hours. You're, like, committing. When you use edibles or something
that's what I don't like about it. Is that, like,
I love that.
It's almost like taking mushrooms, which, I used to very much enjoy, but it's a commitment.
Yeah.
It's only a commitment if you get fucked up. So, like, for example...
Or you have something you want to do the next day.
Or that night. Attention. So, like, okay, for example, the oils, the little, like, vial thing. So you, like, it's got the little squishy thing at the top. And I don't know what you call it in Australia. We call it, like, a dropper, but it's kind of like a vial.
It's a dropper, yeah.
A dropper. And you've got, like, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, full thing. So I'm like, okay, if I go 0.25 and you put it, and I usually hold it under my tongue for like a minute, I know that I can still write emails, I can still see, everything's good. I got this light buzz. I'm just like, I'm cruising for the evening.
Yeah, I take CBD, and CBD I can still do everything I need to do.
Right, because CBD doesn't give you a high, but it makes you chill.
CBD especially.
It's chill. That's why I like it. It's just chill.
But like with the oil, if I'm like, oh, it's Saturday, I'm trying to get fucked up. I'm not doing 1 minute beer reviews. I'm just drinking a few beers, and we're gonna watch Netflix and eat, and we're chilling. Then I'd be like, give me a full fucking thing or whatever, and I know it. So it's all about dosage, and there's never been a time. I was saying to Tiff the other night, it's so exciting. I have so many different weed products.
Yes, so many.
I'm so excited about it because I'm like, what vibe do I want right now? Now I got the indica and the sativa spray because I know the indica makes me more chill, and the sativa makes me a little bit more like amped up.
Heady.
The gummy,
like
exactly.
Chatty.
Exactly, and then the gummies, the peach gummies give me one vibe, and then the other gummies give me a different vibe, and then the fucking the drinks I have in the fridge give me one vibe, and I can mix that with some gin, which I haven't tried yet, because I want to have a whole night not drinking beer and just have the gin and weed drink shit to see what that does. But I'm like, there's so many variants, and I can control exactly how I get high, so there's almost no risk of getting too high because I know exactly what does what. And even Rich, Rich asked me the other day, he wanted to order some stuff. I told him what I get and what I use. He didn't know. So I schooled him. He bought all the stuff, and I was like, Rich gets... Did Steph say something funny?
Oh, I didn't see what you guys don't see. Oh, you see here.
Oh. 25% secrets of the universe was revealed to me. Oh,
during his edible high.
Yeah. Steph was fucked up, bro. Because I don't know if you've been to Bira, but Bira's very echoey. Like, and we could barely even talk, and he's like, I can't feel my legs, man.
He's like, we need to leave.
We need to leave. I'm like, no problem, bro. Let's get out.
And
of here.
I know that life. I know when you're too. Because we've had it before.
But it's like there's
man,
no excuse
in
2020. Once again, I feel like in 2020 there's no excuse to be too fucked up because there's so many ways to measure exactly what dose you want.
But you're still going to test, and you always do take the risk of getting fucked up.
Right, but what I said to Rich, who hadn't done it before, and Rich is a beast. He's like a skinny dude, but he drinks more than anybody I know. He's a fucking machine. Apparently he's a redhead dude, and gingers have a gift for being able to consume more. I'm not joking. It's a thing.
Really?
It's a noted physical thing that gingers are able to take more alcohol than most people. So he's a fucking beast, unlike anyone else I know. So he listened to me though. He was like, "Cool, man. I'm taking a quarter." And then I said, "Look, man, just take the fucking quarter. Write the night off. That's what it is. See what that does for you. Next night, do half. Then you go up." But don't go straight to a full vial, not knowing what it does, and then you might get fucked up. And then you're gonna complain about edibles being shit. That's what I hate, and that's what 90% of people do. But I think the beautiful thing about marijuana being legalized in Canada, which is that we wouldn't really talk about it here if it wasn't, I guess. But they have all these options now. You can buy whatever kind of oils you want, whether it's 1-to-1 with CBD or like fucking like you can get the flowers and there's so many different things. It's glorious, and we're shit compared to say California. And I went to a store for the first time in Colorado in 2018. That shit was wild, man. Like it was like the airport with the security, and there was like a fucking you had to wait. You couldn't walk around. They had to have a security guard take you around, and they had all these little mini cheesecakes and different shit that like I'd never even seen before. So as soon as like Canada needs to step up with the edible game, because the edible game is whack, and you have to order it online from BC with these illegal websites. Which is unfortunate. Even though it has been legalized, they're just very slow to get it in. But the point is...
you have to have prescriptions, I guess, with these various providers.
Not with SQDC. I'm just talking like public-facing, the equivalent, just where you can walk in and buy shit. Because they've got all the oils. I get all my oil... I don't have a card. I just get it from the legal place. But they do... Edibles are legal, but they haven't introduced the only edible item aside from oils and sprays they have is the soda, and they only have one THC soda. The others are all CBD sodas, and they have tea, and the tea is only CBD as well. So the edibles are literally there's one option in aside from the oils, which I don't really count because they're not like edible. You just take it orally. So like there's a lot of room for growth in Canada for that type of stuff, which is important. And I need to talk about it here because I feel like as a beer podcast, we talk about beer stuff, and I find that there's a huge correlation. Almost everybody I know who's into beer tends to be into weed in some shape or form, and I feel like they complement each other to a degree. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like I've been like, we've been on the podcast, and I don't want to call them out, but breweries be like, "Yo, man, you want to smoke a doob right now?" Just before we go on, I'm like, I'm good, bro. Like people, they love it. They go hard. It's weird.
For me, the second that I have THC in my system, my palate's completely out of whack.
Interesting. Do you know what?
I don't know what it is.
I'd like to hear because you have the most refined palate of anyone I know personally. So I feel like you...
Oh, shit.
I know, I just noticed the camera battery starting to flash, so we should wrap it up in a sec. This is basically, we don't want to do the podcast as long as the camera battery lasts. That's good. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes, which is more than normal.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I feel like you would still retain it if you did it the way that I did it, because it's not like you fucking take a fucking spliff to the face and all of a sudden you're fucking off your head. It's very, it's gradual and it's balanced, and you kind of it's not overwhelming, and I think that's where it becomes problematic, is when it's overwhelming and then you can't taste anything and everything kind of just tastes amazing.
Like when I smoke weed where I'm like actually like smoking out of a pipe or I'm lighting it, palate gets totally wrecked
because there's like carcinogens on your tongue.
Yeah, but I also noticed that like when I used to puff out of the like the throwaway vape, that also happened, and that's not an intense like smoke, right? It's just like it's almost like a mist, but it's almost as if the high messes with my palate. But I feel like I'm unique for that, in the sense that
subjective.
Some of the people that I respect the most in terms of their taste buds are like Remy and Max, who used. I'd go to their
They
fucking
smoke
house,
ciggies,
and
like...
they would be rolling just bat after bat, and in between that, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And drinking like
How do they have any palate with
$300
all those
lambics in between.
They're out of control, those guys.
They're
So
crazy, yeah.
I think I'm just I think I have a sense. I think I'm just sensitive, if that makes any sense to that.
I don't think you're sensitive.
Like it's
You're,
almost like the
yeah.
experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the minute I get high, my entire sensory system changes. Whether that's the conversation, whether it's the way my body feels, the way my head feels, the way my palate feels. Like things that are sweeter taste so much better. So like a beer that's on the sweeter side, I'm going to enjoy more. A beer that's too bitter, I'm not going to like as much. It just completely like reconfigures the way that I process the external world. Whether whether what I see, whether what I ingest or whatever. So I feel like I don't enjoy beer in the same way. Like sometimes I'll just like have like a sour or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, this is good, but it's so dry. Like it just doesn't even taste like it's. I just want to drink like fruit juice. I don't want that beer taste or whatever.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. I'd be curious.
It sounds
to see...
like me more. I don't know.
No.
I feel like this is my main issue with it, and it's why I don't get high. Is because it just feels like it removes you so far away from your like natural self and what you would feel, think, and enjoy. Like I could be watching a show that I've loved, and if I'm high and I watch the show, it's the shittest, most overacted show
that's
of
a
all
big
time.
Interesting, eh?
Like this type of stuff.
Like
So I stopped. I cut weed off because I'm like, it just it ruins everything for me. Like everything, just like I don't know.
We have to talk about that more because I have the same thing. But the thing is, for me, it either goes one direction or the opposite. So either what I really enjoy doing is smoking a little bit of weed and watching TV, and 50% of the time, it's the best TV I've ever watched. And then the other 50% of the time, I can't get into it. It's like these actors, they suck. Like it's like you just see through all of it. It's weird. I watched Westworld, and I'm like trying to keep up to date, and I'll probably watch a bit after this.
I could never watch Westworld high.
But like I'll usually smoke like a tiny bit of weed beforehand, and some days I'm just like enthralled. I'm like, it's the best show ever, and like the acting, whatever. And then other weeks, I'm like, these fucking fools. Like this is just nonsense. Like
what are you doing?
Act?
It sucks because Westworld apparently is an incredible show.
You completely see through the acting, and
and it just looks like people playing around. And
Yeah. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Weird.
It takes your own judgment, like what you know of yourself and your own judgment away. And I don't like. I watched Planet Earth High, and that was like, oh my gosh, the planet is beautiful.
I love that.
Like that was incredible to me. But like watching, like say, I have shows that I love dearly. I would never want weed to ruin them for me, like Billions, Succession, House of Cards.
Billions, I watched that high.
Things like Game of Thrones. If I watched it high and it ruined Game of Thrones for me, I would be the most devastated person ever because it would like take this veil away. You know, I just don't want to take the risk of being compromising the things that I enjoy.
But sometimes they can do the opposite. Though,
I know,
for me,
and that's the thing.
And make it like the greatest thing ever. I'm hoping
it's a dice roll.
It's this thing. It's a dice roll for sure.
It's all about the kind of process.
It's an exception. No, I can't do it anymore. Like, can't do the weed anymore.
Yeah.
I understand. I stopped doing the weed. I love my CBD. It's great. I just chill, and that's fine.
It makes you chill, right?
And like, if there's a surprise occasion where people I really love and care about maybe are interested, then maybe I'll dabble a little bit, you know. But
like
otherwise,
smoke it, or you mean?
But
like,
it'd be like smoking,
would
and
you
that's
smoke
just
it
to
again?
chill. And that's just it's like if I'm
You would do
chilling
it.
with people I really care about, I'm like, okay, we're all hanging out, and I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna fuck this up. We're all just gonna be chilling or something. Then it's different. But that happens once a year, probably at this point.
Probably not a huge thing.
I don't want my good shows ruined. That's all. I don't want
I respect it.
I don't want to overthink things. I don't want to have a wine that I really care about, and then I'm like, this shit is like so fruity. It's over much, too big. The berries are too much. Like I don't want to have that experience. You know, like it's annoying.
No, I get it. I definitely get it. I guess it's everyone has to know themselves and know what you're into and know what works and test it out. I feel it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I don't want this camera to die. So Noah, this is beautiful, mate.
Yeah,
this is a good time. Where can everyone find you online? You beast, you.
The website is beerism.ca.
Damn right it is.
Instagram, I think, is also beerism.ca, and
It
on
is.
Facebook, it's just Beerism.
And
That's
it's
pretty much it.
Beerism1 on Twitter because someone stole your shit, clearly.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't really go on Twitter.
Yeah, I know you
Much.
need to be more Ontario with that, bro.
Yeah, I need to
That's
start
where all
yelling
the angry people are at. Need to
Yeah.
be on there. Bro, this is a pleasure, man. I appreciate you. This
That's
has
a
been
great
fun.
chat.
Thank
We could do
you.
this all night. We'll definitely get the whole squad back on in a few weeks.
You can
have
actually
any-
stay
excited
on,
about that.
Noah, because
Oh, yeah,
we're
stay
going to
on-
need you to take the photo.
Yeah, I'm
together.
going to end the
Sure.
podcast part, and we're going to keep on the YouTube live because I need to take a screenshot of us, because if I stop it, all the little, what are they called? Icons
and
around the
share
screen
are
are there,
very
and it's
annoying,
fucking annoying. It doesn't look so good.
Yeah.
So go do that. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Go follow Noah. Go tell him he's pretty and his beard is fire, even though he doesn't really show it anywhere.
better.
You better do it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up. Hit subscribe below. Hit the notification bell
Ding.
so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long form audio so you can hear extraordinarily fucking benevolently attractive gentlemen like Noah Archibald Forrest right there.
Archibald?
That is
Yeah.
my middle name.
Is that your middle name?
No, I don't know.
No.
I was like, that is fancy as fuck.
It's a good one. We're everywhere. Spotify,
wish
Apple
it-
Podcasts, all of that. Give us a 5-star rating and a review if you can. It would mean a lot, particularly right now. Not as many people listening to podcasts, so any little boost we can get in the craft beer world with all of this fire we're putting out is appreciated. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Get it in, yeah.
Get it in, yeah.
All right, so there's that. All right, so that's the podcast side. Now, Noah Alexandre Forrest. Actually, hang
We
on.
have to cheers for a
Keep making
photo.
up new shit.
I know.
You like it, right?
Does his middle name
Oh.
at least start with A? Is that where you're getting the A from? Or
I'm
No,
just
not
literally,
really throwing it
I'm
in
just
there.
making
You
up.
know my middle name?
Ciao, Steph. Ciao. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy the beers.
Yeah,
Be sure
Steph.
to have the second beer there too.
Yeah, have it, Steph. Don't fuck around. I'll get to that. Hang on one sec. All right, I was trying to make this a little bigger.
Good show. Take care. Thank you,
Who said that?
Steph.
Steph, you're a G. Oh shit, where'd it go?
We're screenshotting now.
Oh, mother bitch. Why is this coming back? I didn't. Fuck. Okay, I'm just trying to get it so I can. Here we... fuck. What did I do?
See, hi people. You see what I tell you?
It started to kick in. Yeah. All right.
All right, you ready?
So what we
Are
need
you
to
gonna
do?
grab a
Yeah, I'm
bottle?
gonna grab the bottle.
Oh. Should I grab something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold something in your hand. Here we go. I'm gonna put this like this. Yeah, this way. Here we go. Tap it. Sorry. Okay, you ready? Let's see how that went. Yeah, I don't think you were looking at the camera.
Me or
No,
That's
you
great.
were. Oh,
Perfect.
that's
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
that's
Alright.
quality. I love it. So everyone watching, appreciate y'all. This is super fun. We do this every single Friday at 8 p.m. It's been like a nice way to kind of like, this so far, to be honest, it's basically just been a reason to hang out with our friends, to be honest.
you know what though? To our point, if we want to lecture the corporate world
Right, Steph.
and doing more remote sessions, then maybe we should also do these things when the world goes back to normal.
Yeah,
Still
I'm
do
actually I'm thinking about continuing this because we did this thing called the Adjunct series that we were going to do anyway. So like I said to Tiff that
Yeah, that
either
was supposed to be your. I was just call it the Adjunct series because it's like extra shit that's thrown
Yeah.
out there or something, or like
Right.
I don't know, something extra that changes. And that was just because you're like, I don't want to have such a large break between podcasts
because we're doing
So
these
let me do
themed
this thing where I
seasons that are
talk.
very like specific and they have this it's
Yeah.
very like it's creating this thing. Whereas, like, I just want this space where I can just talk shit like this, where there's no real reason. I can just have a friend. Like, I didn't even think about this, man, because to be honest, it was just like, I thought I would meet up with you and I would have you sitting here. I mean, this is before this stuff. I'd be basically be meeting up with you and Matt is kind of what I was thinking, was you two, and I'd just be doing a bunch of podcasts with you guys. But when this happened, I started doing it with Tiff, and then we got this software because of Stefan, and we're able to now, do a lot more.
Oh, are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
Oh shit,
That's okay.
Yeah.
We can actually end the live and then talk shit afterwards.
Okay, bye, live guys.
Okay, anyway, YouTube
Bye,
live.
live,
Just
guys.
hang on, Noah, afterwards. But yes, appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Oh, Bassam, what's he saying?
This is a Joe Rogan length podcast, and I'm not mad at it.
You know what? We went pretty hard. Bassam. I ran it. He's a big Joe fan.
We stopped talking about beer about an hour now.
Yeah, right?
Seriously.
It just started getting real. Mushrooms next time. Mushies. I got some in the freezer. Boom. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in.
That's just me.
That's just Tiff. All right, get in here. Cheers, guys.